All right, Winter 44. Start with Meepstir.
All right. Stream is minimized.
Okay.
Good start.
Welcome back. The stream is minimized.
Welcome back. Okay. So here I put down an army Peking. I don't really know if there's much to explain with this one. It's really the only move I can do. I'm allied with Canadian very heavily. A fleet would get me killed very quickly. And then Army Nanking is just worse in every way as Army Peking, so we put it down. Trying to look Qing disbands Zilli, which I'm really loving. And then Mughals put down both of their builds as armies in the east, which I am frankly baffled by. The fact that they don't start trying to prevent an Safavid stab here is insane to me. Especially because we had some good press the last little turn. Even if they did stab me, we had an understanding that he didn't really feel he wanted to attack me further than this. So seeing these two armies, I'm kind of just baffled and shocked and not really knowing what to do about it. Yeah. Canadian?
Yeah, I think I told you I'd support you, and I don't know how to pronounce this. Kikahar or whatever
Chichihar.
that is.
I think it's Chichihar. That's how I've
Chichihar?
been
All
saying
right.
it in my head, at least.
Yeah, so I think I told you I'd support you into Chichihar and fall if you were to move that up, because I wanted
think
to
you did, yeah.
clear this area out for us and eventually expand up this way myself. But yeah. Quicksand was still here, and I think I asked him to tap Highland Pow for some reason. Can't remember why, but
I think it's for the Inuit collaboration.
yeah, something.
And
If I
also
recall
stops
correctly,
them.
doesn't Sam come in after the builds phase?
No, because I remember I asked him to tap it here for some reason.
I think that Sam comes in with an hour left on spring, if I'm correct.
Okay, maybe that's it.
I think you might have asked Quick to do it, and then Sam comes in right before orders go through, because I remember it was right before adjudication.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, right, because Quicksand. I guess it's next phase. We'll talk about it. He had a Mars. He just like stops playing the game and gets replaced by a sub.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because then I already support you up to here, and she tries to get me to do something else in the last minute. But I was like, oh, I was already locked in doing that. Anyway, 3 more fleets. I don't have a convoy lined up right here to Haishenwai, so I just do another fleet. I also want more naval power to go up towards and take all this like Inuit area, since now Qing has deleted her fleet, so it's just a single Inuit fleet versus like whatever I can throw up here to cover this whole area. He has nothing in NPO either. So that's where I'm aiming. I just got Salt to stab Spain, and I was telling him like I want to go into Philippines and stuff with him, but like if you look at this position and with the fact that he stabbed me and he just stabbed Spain over like pretty much nothing, I was immediately going to Spain, and I was like, yo, let's kill Salt. He just stabbed you in the back, like I'll take Formosa and Bonin. I think I asked him to support me to Okinawa Trough, and then I go after Bonin. But yeah, I immediately start trying to get them to go at each other, and Spain seems pissed at Salt, and he's willing to do that, so he says he'll give me the support there. Larger picture wise, I feel like I should talk about this. After these colonials are dead, I realized, like, because we still have this pact between, like, it's not a super formal pact, but it's kind of loose between, like, Mapuche, Ayu, me, and Ute, that we're going to kill, like, Spain and Dutch in the area, and then we'll see what happens after that. So, I don't want Mapuche or Ayutthaya to be, like, super strong, but I want them to have enough pressure to, like, keep pressure on the Dutch and keep pressure on the Spanish and stuff like that in these areas. So that's why I really like the Triple Alliance here, because I feel like if like Tanglewood and Ambrosius are able to kill the colonials up here, by the time we're done getting them in this area, then they could probably go and put pressure on Mapuche, and I can start attacking Mapuche in the area after the colonials are done and start taking like the majority of the spoils. For North America, long term, I want Athabasca to eventually stab Ute because Ute is like constantly building more fleets and stuff. He's just my whole idea here is to get as few fleets in like the whole Pacific area as possible that aren't mine, so it's just easier for me to start taking everything. And Ute is in a super strong position. He's growing, working with Athabasca. They're both expanding into the colonials in North America. If he's not going to stab, or if these two aren't going to fight, then he's pretty much going to go for a more Pacific game, and that leaves me less room to grow overall down the line. So I eventually want Athabasca to attack Ute. And Tanglewood at the beginning of the game, like I think the first day, tells me that Athabasca is being played by like a top 3 classic player in the world. So I was like, okay, he's probably going to be able to set up like a really good stab down the line. And I was kind of banking on that for like probably the first like 5-ish years of the game. Even though I was building a really good relationship with Osius, who's the Ute player, I was eventually thinking like hopefully Athabasca at least puts pressure on him so I can hit him from the other direction. Yeah, and then Inuit, I obviously want them to stick together long enough for Inuit to be weak enough for me to keep attacking him until he's dead in this area. So I do ask Athabasca to not stab Ute on one of these turns where he has like a pretty good stab on him. But yeah.
Right, because if any of these alliances break up too early,
then Inuit can get
yeah.
back on his feet and start giving me problems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Tasnica.
Yeah, so I've got some builds. Last year I built 3 in Europe, but my colonies need some more love, so I only dropped 1 in Europe this time, and it's for a couple reasons. One, I just made peace with Sweden. They stabbed Russia last turn. And Russia is also disbanding a lot of units because they're getting completely coalitioned and destroyed. So the only people I'm fighting in Europe right now are a dying Russia and Austria. So I'm like, okay, I can afford to put just 1 build here, and use my other 2 to strengthen my colonies back up. In West Africa, France is gone. Portugal just got all of France's stuff last year. One of those dots was sneakily with my help. The other ones were just France getting stabbed by Portugal, basically, and not defending his dots, and basically deciding that Africa is a lost cause, which it was, to be fair, at this point.
Yeah.
And bailing completely.
Were you surprised to see France take off everything here, or was
In West Africa? No, he made it very clear he was planning to do that. He's like, I am investing in the Americas and Europe, and I'm going to try to win from there. And again, I was still on good terms with France at this point. France and me had been pretty close allies in the first year or two, and even though I started getting increasingly worrisome vibes from him as the game went on, I didn't overtly stab him. I dotted him last year with the excuse that Portugal threw in an unwanted support. So, the relationship is still pretty salvageable. And the fact that he's not even in West Africa anymore, and basically we're just sharing the Caribbean together where we have a lot of common interests still. I fully intend on working with France at this point, just with a bit of wariness in our press, knowing that there's a decent chance anything I send him might get used against me because, again, he's very clearly trying to play everyone off against each other, which has its pros and its cons. As for why I built a fleet in West Africa, this is kind of another agreement between me and England. While, French relations are a little sketchy, but workable. relations with England are great. And I'm also encouraging the two of them to work together so that I don't have to choose between them, which gets extremely awkward in the Caribbean. England and I are both coring next to each other. We both agreed to build fleets to establish better sea control. And frankly, I see Portugal here as a potentially imminent threat. That if I just cede a naval monopoly to them, they will inevitably stab me and take me off the continent, just like they did with France.
Yeah.
And I want to deter that. What's up?
I remember we talked about this build in the ICI chat, and we were talking about how he was going to disband these two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else for those Portuguese armies to really go. I mean, taking Timbuktu from that position is just not happening.
Yeah.
He has been claiming for a while now that he's going to stab Spain. But until he actually stabs Spain, my plan is basically deterrence. Basically saying, look, buddy, I'm not planning on attacking you, but I'm not going to make myself an easy target either.
So
Go fight Spain.
+2 there.
Go fight Spain. I'm just going to use this fleet for defensive purposes so that you don't just walk into Senegal estuary and start taking all my dots. Portugal's not happy about this. But I'm sure he would express unhappiness about this, whether or not he was planning on stabbing me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in this position, like, he does that really thin province, does it border Rejabat?
This one?
Oh,
no, the one down in the south.
Where he has an army, Titchit? Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, Titchit could go to Rejabat.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a good stab there on Spain, but...
Oh, yeah, and I'm telling Portugal this. Portugal just comes in swinging. He's like, you're going to try to snipe Cabo Verde. You shouldn't build fleets. This is bad for us working together. And I'm like, if you're worried about Cabo Verde, pull off a fleet from somewhere and cover it. You are more than welcome to do that. Go nuts. But a Portugal fleet monopoly can just kill Poland whenever they feel like it. And I need this colony to win. If I lose my colony, I lose the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, I finally get a third unit here. Notice that I'm not overbuilt in either colony. In Africa, I've got 3 units for 4 centers. And in the Caribbean, I have 3 units for 3 centers. So, there have been a few times in this game where people were like, oh, Poland's overbuilding the colonies and neglecting Europe. And, to small degrees and temporarily that was true. But so far this game, I've been max overbuilt 1. I believe after year 1, I had 2 units with 1 center in the Caribbean. And that second unit immediately got a second center.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, it isn't like I'm massively overinvested. Like sometimes you'll see the Dutch having 5 units somewhere and 2 cores or something like that.
No, this is totally reasonable on both. And Africa's even better. Like you said, you got an extra dot than a unit there.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you've been talking all this time about how it's impossible to win as Poland without your colonies. So, and the colonies starting at 1 dot are the things that can get huge by the end of the game. So I think it makes a lot of sense, even if you were overbuilt.
Yeah. And yeah, diplomatic situation in the Caribbean is that I'm great friends with England. I am wary friends with France. The Dutch and I, things are thawing now that he's fighting Spain. And that we've managed to kind of inject a little bit more levity into our chats. As opposed to the prior kind of, every time one of us does something the other doesn't like, just come in swinging and hurling accusations. We kind of we've kind of chilled out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Spain, who we've basically been butting heads the entire game. He took Caracas. I finally took it back. But you know,
Yeah,
even
tension's
with
still
him,
there.
right? And even with him now fighting the Dutch and the F, I think Spain's fighting all of his neighbors in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But even then, his press with me is not especially friendly. It's mostly just like, hey, you should go stop France, and like play better, and Spain has this way of having a very firm idea of like how the game should be played and the optimal approach to each situation. And sometimes he's right, and sometimes he's just saying what's optimal for his position, but he kind of says them in the same way. I don't know. It's
Yeah, that sounds interesting to say the least.
we there was friction in our press.
Yeah,
I'll
makes
just
sense.
say that.
Yeah.
You guys have pretty opposite styles, I feel. From me
Yes.
talking to him, I felt like Ezio actually gave me this tip. He said he responds very well to like short and brief press, and when he said that to me, like I started just sending him those kind of messages, just like no bullshit, right? Just like you want support here, give me support here, or something like that. Where it's like before I was trying to do my regular press with him, and I feel like you have a very wordy press style, so that probably conflicts with him. But I like gels well with me, so
Yeah, well, yeah, but both of us, right? Because didn't you write that essay to Salt
yeah,
the
yeah,
year prior?
yeah.
Yeah, both of us need to send fewer essays to King of Prussia.
That's really funny now that you're actually saying that, because I think the only thing I sent to KOP this whole game was a incredibly long essay on why he should attack Portugal that he
Yeah.
said no to. Like it's and nothing else.
Well, maybe relations will improve later in the game. We'll see how things play out. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's winter.
All right. Bring up spring moves. Okay. Start with Meepstir.
All right. So, if you let's start with the top, I guess. Let's go from the north and work our way down. So up in the north, you can see with the Russia that here, so like we said earlier, Quick NMR'd, and then we had Sam sub into the game almost immediately. And so I had been obviously not having any, because Quick as Russia had not had a lot of press with me particularly. We've played before, but there wasn't a lot of things going on, and so we hadn't really worked anything out. And seeing Sam come in the game, I hadn't played with her before, but I kind of get this idea of, oh, well, we can make something work. We can do something here. And it's worth trying at the very least. And so I kind of am like, hey, how about we come up with this deal where I just go south to deal with Mughals? You go north to deal with Inuit. And I'm kind of doing this on the like, because I think she only had about an hour to make moves.
Yeah.
And so I'm basically thinking, okay, I'm kind of cooked here. Like things aren't going well. Maybe I can capitalize off her not being on the board long enough, come out with some really strong press, and get a really favorable position that wouldn't be possible without like on a normal person who had a full like 48 hours to look over the moves.
Yeah.
Because absolutely attacking me here is the correct play. I'm gonna delay it, but she does win in the end. And so we're kind of talking back and forth, and she agrees to it. She says she'll go up attacking Inuit, and I say that I'll move away and I'll go attack Mughals. And for most of the turn, I actually do have that in, which would have looked very bad and probably would have been a final nail in the coffin. But at the end of press, she tells me, that Safavids had agreed with her plan. Which I don't know if you guys remember, but Safavids is European, and Safavids is not awake at adjudication time.
Oh.
And so entirely from something she didn't know, she blunders. That I realize she's just lying and trying to do anything to get me to walk out.
Yeah.
And so I go back to my not my previous moveset, because again, we'd had good press and I didn't just want to immediately stab her to start off the relationship. Which would have been I think I just had originally what's the top one there? Krasnoyarsk? Krasnoyarsk supported into Bratsk by Karkrum, which would have stopped this and would have been a lot better, but I didn't walk out of both units, thankfully. Then we have Mughals continuing their war against me. Again, we'd had some talks about how we could start working together at last, but obviously they're lying. But we make good progress. They do get into Gobi, but you support me into Hohhot, Canadian, which means that their Lanzhou move doesn't do anything. I managed to finally, again, I talked about earlier, me and Ezio to work some things out, and he gets me into Rinpungpa, which I'm loving. Obviously, a great position to be in. And we do start making some progress on fighting back. And then, is my Macau army doing anything? Oh yeah, it's supporting, again, this is the deal I have with IU, which I'll support him into Hainan, which obviously Portugal wasn't happy about.
Yeah.
But
And he's getting attacked in Fanrang.
yeah, but I figure I need to make a deal with IU and things are going well, and we do make that deal, which I'm very happy about. And yeah, not the worst turn in the world for me.
Yep. All right.
Oh, and does the Safavid stab this turn on Mughals?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do, and this is huge for me. Because finally, all this time I've been kind of telling Mughals that, hey, like, yes, I'm weak, but the effort it's going to take you to get in and take my stuff is going to give Safavids enough time to consolidate and then get a good stab on you. And that stab finally materializes here, and not a moment too early. I really needed this going forward. Otherwise, if Safavids like get locked up in something else, then eventually the armies the Mughals have will grind me down.
Yeah.
But I do last long enough that the stab works, and I have a lot more options open to me in the fall.
Yeah. Saf's in such a good spot here too. Like you said, gets this brutal stab on Mughals while Mughals has like everything over here. Russia's moving most things away. It's all open. Ottomans working with them.
And Mughals lose Delhi here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's not a good turn.
Yeah. For me over here, I'm trying to get all my fleets up into this north area mostly because I want to take like all of this stuff. Inuit walk into here, but I put enough units on to take it back. Repositioning down here to take Formosa and Bonin Islands. Both of these two decide to work with me here. Salt, I tell him I want support into Philippine Sea, which he gives, but I don't take. And then I ask him to go to Luzon to get an attack on Manila. Spain, I ask for support into Okinawa Tro, which he gives me. And yeah, I have 2 units on both of these Dutch dots, which is nice. I stick 1 fleet in NPO, but Inuit sticks 1 in there too. And Spain, oops. Spain doesn't stick any more in, but keeps both of those ones in. Monado here. This is a stupid move. I'll admit I didn't even like think of any tactics here. It was a single fleet, and I was just kind of lazy at the time. Like I think I had a tooth infection around this time of the game, and I was in like a bit of pain, so I was just didn't bother to even look at like what Dutch was gonna do here. And I just went to Mapuche, who had a sub at the time, and I was just like, "Yo, just like tell me where you want the fleet. I'll send it there, and if you help me keep a dot in this area, like I'll keep working with you against Dutch. I'll help you get into like Timor and Flores and stuff. Just try to keep me alive. If like you can give me support." And then they said, go to Banda C and I'll give you support into Flores if it's possible. So I was like, sure. And that's why I did that one. Obviously, like looking at this, it was kind of obvious what Dutch is gonna do. Like I should have just bounced out Celebes C. and then like I might have still had 2 on Monado, but that would have been the only way I would have kept it, and it would have just been a better spot. But
Why
yeah,
not go to Flores Sea?
I was thinking that too. But again, I just asked Mapuche what he wanted, and I just did that for the goodwill. I just didn't. It was just bad for me.
The substitute
Yeah.
goodwill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also kind of curious about like the Dutch moves here. So I was looking at the press that you sent.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to see that whole like talk with Salt, and and then immediately I see that this is your next press. I just sent over a Discord. Um, so I guess was this actually something real? I'm just kind of curious
Let
because
me
it,
put this on the
you
screen.
know, affects me personally.
Whoops. Oh, I was never planning to work with him here. I was just
Okay.
giving him whatever he right when he
Okay.
did the stab. I was immediately gonna flip on Spain. Like I said, it like I didn't trust Salt at all after I was nice to him with Ryuku, and then he immediately attacked me. And he obviously just stabbed his only ally in the back over like 1 dot. So I was like, I'm just not gonna trust him at all, and I'm gonna go for these. Here, oh, this was also a bad move for me. So throughout the
You still
game,
have
I was
Discord up
always
on
like
your
flirting
screen.
with the idea of stabbing Ming, but I never felt like I had like a super good opportunity. And that's mainly because like,
See, so you've got Discord over the map
sorry about that.
on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's mainly because like I always felt like I could get these 3 dots if I really tried for it pretty much any time, but I felt like there was like nothing I could do beyond that. So like say if I get fleets in like all these tiles and I convoy some armies here with like Mughals and Ayu so strong and Safavid, like even if Mughals die, Safavid's going to be strong. I just never felt like I would have enough army power to like push into Chengdu or get anything beyond these coastal areas, and it would take me probably like 3 or 4 units committed to even get these. Like I'd probably need like 3 fleets and maybe an army or something. So I was always planning like to take these at the very end of the game to get like my 32 dots. These would be like 20, like 30, 31, or 30, 31, and 32. Like that's kind of what I was aiming. But yeah, here I moved to Kyushu just because I want to have the option to be able to stab Ming if I want to. But in the fall it kind of burns me because I should have put it to Osaka so I would have been able to cover Edo, especially because there's like a bunch of fleets in here. And I didn't actually want to commit to stabbing Ming, so I like do this kind of hedgy move for like a plan that I'm not even planning on going for, which is also kind of stupid. But yeah, I wasn't actually planning on attacking you very seriously at all
Okay.
here. It was always just going to be against the Dutch. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Tasnica?
All right, so over in Europe, Sam is technically in the game now, but I don't think I crossed paths with her until after adjudication. So this is just full gunboating with Russia moves, continuing the attack against them. However, as you might notice, Sweden stabs me again. And I don't think Russia had anything to do with this. I don't think Sam had anything to do with this either. Because again, it was very late in the phase, and also Sweden stabbing me is not something he needs any encouragement for. He has done that repeatedly this game of his own volition.
Sweden's Australian too, I think, so might not have been on during the hour.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, he gets into Smolensk here, which is not great at all. He bounces me out of the Gulf. He gets a bunch of fleets next to me.
Yeah, moves back in the Baltic and the Sound.
And the sad thing is that would he have gotten? Yeah, I think he could have gotten Bremen here. I was supporting him against Austria, so he would have immediately gotten a dot and been able to easily hold it if he just worked with me. Oh wait, no, Lübeck's a fleet. Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna. He could do it if he used Wadden instead, but
yes. And he definitely could have gotten it in the fall by shuffling his army into a better position.
Yeah, true.
Which I think might have been our plan. I think I was going to support him into Bremen, but he was also going to like get some more units into position, so we had a backup plan. Anyhow, regardless of what the plan was, he stabs me on it. I get into Pressburg, which is great. Ottoman, however, loses Sarajevo because, yeah, I think she just loses a guess. Yeah, she tries to take split from there.
Yeah, would have had to cut spliff or yeah.
Oh, actually, I think we even talked about this move set, because thanks to the Constantinople move, she retreats to Khan, and then Sarajevo is completely surrounded. So it's I think it was actually bait. You get the Austrian army in here, you completely surround it, then you destroy it in the fall. And with Austria's, with so much pressure on Austria's cores, he has a hard time rebuilding. He's in Pressburg. I'm in Pressburg. He has to defend Vienna and Trieste, so his only core is Innsbruck.
Yep.
So any unit we destroy. Okay, yeah. I talked with because remember, Ottoman
Trieste,
was like,
I think, is also. Oh no, because she walks in here.
Yeah, but Ottoman's like my primary ally at this point, and has been since basically after the first turn of the game. So we're talking all sorts of tactics about how to just completely destroy Austria and Russia here. And it's mostly going pretty well, except for the complication of Sweden stabbing me again.
Mm-hmm.
Over in West Africa, I finished the Dijon Corps, so I now have a second corps in Africa, which is huge. Having 2 corps in a 1-dot starting colony just creates so many opportunities that wouldn't have otherwise been there. Now, obviously, the colony needs to survive and thrive in order to actually make use of the core, but it is now at least possible for me to, have some serious success in the region. Portugal does stab me here by supporting himself into Tukulor. I believe we had arranged bounces, and he was supposed to move his other army up to Regibat to go stab Spain. But instead, he supports his move and sends an additional fleet down. So me and Portugal are now fighting, and I believe he has a guarantee on St. Louis. In the fall. So that's not good. In the Caribbean, let's see here. Again, I'm still working with England and France. So I move into the Caribbean Sea with France's approval. We arrange all this. They're fighting the Dutch up in Puerto Rico. They're also getting into Guyana Current. So EF units are moving away from me, which is very nice. Spain tries to support the Dutch into Orinoco, but Salt just blows them off, which is appreciated. And the Dutch even leave Palermo. So, yeah, the better press with Salt is certainly helping, as is the fact that he's pretty clearly fighting a bunch of colonials now, and has much better things to do than fight me.
And that's a guarantee on Cartagena for fall, yeah?
Yes. King of Prussia, of course, immediately comes to me and is like, "Hey, I know you could guarantee Cartagena here, but you could also stab France instead. You should do that because taking the guarantee on centers is something that I've never done.
Oh yeah,
please on this
please,
continent.
Yeah, please tell me you just responded with a hashtag remember Caracas.
I think I was more diplomatic than that. I told him like, I'd think about it, or
yeah.
Believe it or not, I don't think I was ever all that harsh on KOP in press this game. I was usually like, hey, here's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Like even when I, told him I would fight him over Caracas, it wasn't like a you suck at diplomacy, you're terrible, I'm going to punish you. It's like, I think I need this dot. here is my threat if you take it from me,
Yeah.
and I intend on following through with that threat, so that my threats have actual meaning and are not just hot air.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Anything else we want to say about the map before we go to fall moves?
Let's see. Any other major
Looks
developments? I
like they
think things are
stick
pretty.
together again. Um, Portugal and Azeron working together.
Yeah, I don't think any big turnarounds
No.
this turn.
Okay. I'll head to fall moves. All right. Meepstir.
Oh, this was almost such a good turn. It still is a pretty good turn overall. There's a few things I like about it. One, I just completely call the bluff. I just completely predict Russia that they're definitely not going to attack Karakorum, and I can just full send it into Turfan. Um, I predict that they're going to do the bounce in Chichihar, and I mean, they didn't expect that. They could have stopped it, but you help me, you help me, Canadian.
Yep.
And I remember you telling me that I remember Russia sending me a lot of press after this being like, I don't understand why Toku keeps supporting you. Like, props to you for getting him to do stupid moves, but
I'll
like,
get to that.
this makes no sense. I only got props for this though. I'm assuming you got a lot the opposite of that.
Oh yeah, tons of shit talk. We'll
Yeah.
see though.
Down in Macau, I think you mentioned this turn. So I was definitely starting to get a little scared of Canadian. Because you're starting to do very well. And I was also starting to get a little scared of Ayu. So I go to Salt, and both of you really don't want Salt doing anything. Both of you kind of want Salt out of this region. And I don't think you particularly cared whether I gave the support or not, but I go to Salt and I'm just like, hey, haven't talked to you in like a month. You want support into Hainan? Ayu is scary.
Yeah.
And then he's like, sure, I'll take that support. And I believe that's the last time I talked to Salt this game, unfortunately. Because I do not give it. And I think he takes the army off or the fleet off, but I can't remember.
He does, yeah.
So
or
that's
wait, maybe
fun.
not. He might have kept it on this time. I remember there was a time he kept it in Luzon. And I was like, what the hell is he keeping it there for? I think it was this time,
But from what you told me,
I think I know why. We'll get to it.
Yeah. But from what at least from the Ming perspective and what you've told me, Canadian, like privately, you tell me that this is like a very useful kind of service I'm providing, and helps reduce the Toku stab potential, which is definitely one of the main reasons why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're going to be a vassal, it's nice to be a useful vassal.
Yeah, exactly. Then I just Xian should be tapping Xining. I'm trying to think why I didn't tap Xining here, because if I do tap Xining here, I think I'm plus. What am I? I think I might be +2. Yeah, I think I'm +2 if I tap Xining here.
Yeah.
Which allows me to build Chengdu and Peking, and I think. And also, I think we'll need to talk about retreats here because it affects some things.
Were you worried about a support hold on Turfan?
Yes, that's why I tapped Lanzhou, but looking at it, I mean, if that's going to happen, it's probably going to be from Gobi. And even in the case where, like, say, like, there's not a lot of cases where this actually ends up being the correct move. I think it's only the correct move if Lanzhou supports Gobi to Turfan. And I think that's probably what I was kind of hoping for. I'm hoping that the Mughals are going to start trying to pull out of my position. They're seeing that
right, because Safavich just stabbed him.
Yeah, I'm also probably hoping that like maybe Lanzhou is gonna walk out to Uyghur stand.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll be able to walk in And there's a whole lot of stuff going on that makes me think this might be a good idea.
Yeah, if you're
But
sending Western units westward, it makes more sense.
yeah, but it doesn't end up helping, and it's definitely just really annoying. Not only because it has the Rin Pungpa get dislodged, but it makes that into a retreat, which ends up putting me in a really tough situation. Which I didn't realize was going to be a tough situation, but it does end up being a tough situation.
Oh, does Ezio ask you to go to Bhutan
Because
or?
Ezio asked me to go to Bhutan.
Yeah.
Um, Bhutan does not work here. In my opinion, Bhutan is very bad. Bhutan is great for keeping the war going, and it's great for Ezio. But for me, it means that I can't have an army build in Peking this year,
Yeah.
which is just brutal. I'm going to toe with Russia. I have just gotten Turfan back. I've made it into Chichihar. I really want to be able to like maybe send something up into Hahat. And it's not a situation where I can be retreating to Bhutan. And had I stopped that, I wouldn't have had to make that choice. I could have put an army down in Chengdu and Peking. I think that would make, because Mughals have a terrible turn here. I think they would have gone -4, and I instead of -3. And
Yeah.
I think there would have been a good chance that they just kind of cut
Advan-
their losses in this region, and I'm able to have a bounce back.
Yeah.
That's all for me, though.
Makes sense. All right, for me, I'll start with this because this is just fucking horrible from me. I should have been immediately subbed from the game for this. This is supposed to be a high level game. But yeah, Inuit goes +1 on me here, despite having like 2 fleets versus my 3. Like I could have fucking sniped Koryax. I could have took this the other way. Oh my, this is just the worst in the whole game. I hate this moveset for me. Yeah, I was just scared of losing Ito because, like, if he gets into Ito, then, or if Spain gets into Ito, then, like, I have to build 2 units here to kick them out. It gives, like, a retreat to, like, either Mutsu or Kuroshio if I don't have a unit in those. So it's just, like, I never really wanted anyone in Ito. But just from a pure numbers perspective, like, I totally should have just went for Koryax and tried to snipe it. Here is just disgusting. Fucking Inuit is like having so much problems over here, and again, I'm just assuming that he's gonna like try to save his main force here, other than like try to like guess a 50-50 on the brace. But he guesses it, and he guesses right. This is another one of those times where we were talking about like leveling people's thinking and stuff, where I was thinking like this is the more obvious move that he probably would try to defend, but just like if I go the other way and he does anything else, it just gives me a worse position to move forward against like this area because I want something in straight of Tartary to be able to push into Shantar and stuff the next turn. So I decided to go this way, just assuming he wasn't going to do the support, but he does. So I go down. I'm losing against Inuit despite him having 1 fleet in the entire area and like 1 fleet in the Pacific, which is just terrible. Up north, I'm supporting you against Russia. I like this because like I eventually want you to get me up into Highland Pow. I keep this fleet I don't think it's this exact fleet I keep here the whole game, but I like to keep a fleet in Oriental Sea just because it gives this nice convoy option to Haishenwai. So I'm preparing for a convoy there next year, and then I want you and me to support myself into Highland Pal, and then I can use that to start pushing into Nivix and stuff like that and start going after Inuit up here. So that was the idea there. You are obviously Ching is not very friendly with me. You have been very trustworthy all game, so I felt like putting you here is just better for me long term. Like you're not gonna go against me, and I can just take this a lot easier. Yeah, Russia was not happy about this at all. I got the huge fucking thing like, oh, you're terrible, you're playing terrible, you're gonna lose this game, fucking working with Ming does not work for you at all, you're being a Care Bear, you're doing the blah blah blah, you have no chance to get past 20 down south and stuff. And I was like, we'll see. My main idea was I was eventually gonna, but like I really felt like I couldn't get anything past that. Other reasons why I didn't stab you, because I wrote all these down after she said this, just because I was like I do have reasons. Like I said earlier, I want Ayutthaya to not just be able to like bowl over this whole region and then like sink a ton of fleets in here and start taking like all of Borneo and all of this and stuff and like putting pressure on the Philippines. Mughals is like dying really bad, so if both of Ayu's neighbors are dying bad, yeah, Dutch is also doing terrible, like all over the board. So you were the only neighbor that I felt like I could keep propped up to keep Ayu like kind of in a box where he's not gonna just start steamrolling over everything. That was a big reason. Another one was you were just extreme. Like you're the only person I actually trusted out of like everyone in this area, other than kind of Osius. But like we haven't built up a huge amount of trust yet, just like talking. But you're the only person who like I would give you my moves, and I was like confident every time what you were telling me was what you were gonna do.
Yeah.
You helped me out down here pretty big with this move set. I was debating so hard on like how Salt's gonna play this. If he I can't remember the exact thing, but I was thinking like he's either gonna cut Okinawa or he's gonna support Bone into Okinawa. So if I do Okinawa supported in, he can brace. If I do Kuroshio supported in, he can cut Okinawa. I also had a deal with Spain where I was gonna support him into Bonin and he was gonna support me into Hawaii, which I never really intended to take. And I was gonna try and flip it on him like in the last day, but he ended up doing that for me, where he's just like, "Hey, like, I'm not gonna go for Bonin. I don't trust Salt's not gonna take Manila. Would you be down to support me into Hawaii and I get Bonin instead?" And I was like, "Yep, that works for me. Perfect." Like I was gonna do that anyway, so I'll take that deal. And then yeah, I think the last day I was debating so much on like which one he's gonna do, and I just felt like so I was gonna lose the 50-50 no matter what. And then I thought like, what if I get Salt to like, or what if I get you to ask Salt to give support, or to tell Salt you'll give him to support into Hainan, and then that gives him like the most likely option of keeping a dot, because here's just a 50-50 where if you get the support, I just felt like it was a higher chance that he goes for it other than trying to like keep Bonin somehow. So that came in a huge help for me. Like he didn't end up going for it. I got both dots super easy. Didn't even need supports on either of them. But that also
Yeah.
just like locked me in with you a lot further, where it's like even though you're not helping me directly tactically at the moment, like you're even helping me press wise against other people, helping me get dots and stuff. So I was very happy there. Um,
Yeah. And on
yeah,
that Hainan move, I definitely don't know if I should have supported Salt in there. I still kind of think about this because at the time I think it definitely was a terrible idea. I don't want to piss off Ayu. But I mean this is a little spoiler, but this is I think the last turn that me and Ayu worked together. Um so it's definitely like I think this probably could have saved me a lot of headaches down the line.
yeah,
But again, look, hindsight's 2020 and all that.
yeah. It's always easy to find the best moves after you see everyone else's.
Yeah, it's a little bit trivial at that point.
But yeah, and then another reason that I put down was because in ICI I felt like I was like pretty ruthless and I stabbed pretty much like everyone around me, and that was like the only other high level game I played, and I felt like if I was immediately gonna join another one and like stab everyone again, I would just be building a reputation kind of like Salt, or like just someone who stabs everyone all the time and like you can never work with. And I want to like keep a reputation where it's like I will work with someone for like 10 years at a time. Like I can do
Yeah,
it
that
a
makes
very long
sense.
period of time. I'm not just going to stab you in the back if it's like the slightest convenience possible. Like you actually got to give me a good stab for me to like turn on someone who's working with me solid. So I wanted to keep that up. That was like a reason too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
really interesting thing to consider because, like, diplomacy is a game where you're constantly surrounded by people who might not stab you,
yeah.
and you're trying to figure out, the odds of that happening. And certain players, those odds get really, really low, and you know,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a result, the times where it's a good idea to actually trust and work with them are correspondingly very, very low.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's like for me, that's something I try to cultivate a lot myself. Like, with Ching, all the ICI, like trying to be a good like overlord, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it pissed you off to no end, Taz, but like keeping Ayu and the Dutch alive at the very end, I was just like, well, this gives me a little bit of reputation for keeping people alive, and like I think every little bit of that helps because then come down the line when people are thinking if they can trust you, it might be what pushes them one way over the line.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this was a unique a game for me too. Like you said at the beginning, where you knew most people. This is the first game I've ever played a diplomacy where I knew over half the people on the board immediately. So it kind of gave me a different perspective where it's like, I'm probably going to stick around this community and continue playing games with like similar people. So I can't treat every game as just like a final game that I got to win. Like I'll probably be playing another one after this and I want to win that too. So like I can't just bank everything on winning this game and stabbing everyone, right?
Mhm.
But yeah. Um Tasnica.
Well, Europe was both a diplomatic and tactical failure for me. Um, the diplomatic one, I'm not entirely sure how much that one is my fault. Um, Sam subs in, is immediately hyper aggressive in press. Basically tells me that she's going to do whatever Sweden wants until I stop fighting Russia. And when you've been in a death war with Russia for years, and a new Russia comes in and it's like, hey, I'm going to be maximally aggressive to you unless you make every concession that I ask for.
What?
Is not the greatest first impression. And she tells me what she's going to do. She tells me she's going to support Sweden to Kyiv, and cover Bactrisarayy. And I believe her. The only real deception in our press is the fact that I act like I'm considering, actually conceding to her demands and focusing entirely on Sweden and my other neighbors. In reality, my goal is to destroy Russia as quickly as possible. I, however, am let down by a few things. One, despite the fact that she does, in fact, support Sweden into Kyiv, Sweden does not attack Kyiv. He attacks Wolno instead.
Mhm.
Which I figured was a relatively unlikely move for him to make. And I think was like the only actual counter to my defense here. So, got that tactic wrong. Bactrisarayy, Ottoman promised me support and didn't give it. Despite the fact that, as you can see, it was completely redundant to put an extra support on the Kharkov attack.
And they
So
cover,
this is just
yeah, and they cover Turgovishta, which lets the Austria army retreat.
Yep. So basically, I continue talking with tactics with Cass like I've been doing every phase, but this turn is a turn where basically half of my ideas she rejects, and the other half she agrees to and then doesn't do them. So our alliance cohesion takes a massive hit this turn, with disastrous consequences for me. I don't get Bakhchisaraj. The Sarajevo army is not destroyed. On top of that, I guess wrong and do not get Vienna. Again, the only moveset where I don't get Vienna here is where Austria ignores the chance to go for Jassy or Targoviste, which he does. I was expecting him to make a play for at least one of those centers.
Yeah.
So just another tactical blunder on my part. And then I also lose Brandenburg, but that's just the result of Sweden stabbing me again. And
Yeah.
there is very little I can do about that.
Unsavable there.
Yeah. You can barely see it on the map, but Brandenburg is tapping
Or-
Saxony.
So with
So
3 supports.
yeah, but if Saxony had tried to support Old Vienna, that would have been cut. But alas, my moves end up being very poor choices. So do Ottomans. She completely misguesses everything against Austria. So she loses Rome here, and gets no progress other than taking Sarajevo back, without even destroying the army in the process. So, awful year in Europe. Let's see if West Africa is any better. No, I guess wrong here as well. So, from my knowledge of the Europe situation,
Oh yeah.
I'm expecting to have a pretty good year. Bakhchisarai is guaranteed if my ally makes the move she says she will. There's only one move Austria can make where I don't get Vienna, and there's only one move Sweden can make where they get one of my dots. Other than Brandenburg, but I even have the option of disbanding that on a retreat. So I'm expecting builds. And because I'm expecting builds, I move Jacob Fort into the Gambia, which is guaranteed. So that I can build a second fleet there.
Yeah.
St. Louis is guaranteed to lose. So I decide that Portugal has taken a lot of risks this game tactically. Like, he's been very greedy several times.
Yeah.
On occasion it's paid off, on occasion it's not. I think that he might be greedy and try to go for Endikaro here. So I attempt to cover it. And if I guessed that correctly, I would have bounced him out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he is not greedy, but he also does not take the guarantee.
Yeah, it's like a different type of
by
greed.
supporting him. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he takes the third option of doing the positional greed.
Yeah.
Where he gambles on just walking into St. Louis and also moves into Fulani. Needless to say, this is a disastrous development for my African position, especially since, as we'll soon learn, I am not building. Also, I bounced in Niani. That's arranged with England. Me and England are still getting along just great, though he is getting murdered by the Dutch. The Dutch are actually doing well in one place. Sort of.
Other than losing Sao Tome and Ferdinand Poe. And
By
also...
some place, I mean, if you look at only the western part of Western Africa.
We'll just look at this part of the map.
Yeah, if you look at the eastern part of Western Africa, things are less good. But with sufficient
Pretty good.
magnification, Salt is doing well. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, I of course take Cartagena. Like, KOP is not the sort of player to appreciate my mercy here and have it pay off dividends later down the line.
Yeah.
He will absolutely screw me over if it's opportunistic for him, regardless of how nice I am to him. So, yeah, I'm taking the guaranteed dot. Thank you very much. I also attempt to dot Primeval here, which is what I feel Salt would do. And we even have a pleasant chat about it afterward. Like, yeah, like I would have. He basically says, like, yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So, like, me and him were actually having pretty good press at this stage of the game. Probably too late to actually, have it benefit either of us all that much. But good press nonetheless.
Take what you can get. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Grani stabs Mapuche here.
Yes, the South American triple is experiencing more drama. Which is a bit of a problem timing wise, because Portugal's doing really well.
Yep. Yeah, and Portugal getting progress against Congo here. Congo is going fully on the Dutch, like exposing fully to that. Working with Hazron. Yeah. All right. Should I go to builds now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Meepstir.
Yeah, so again, you can see that I send my Rinpungpa army back to Chengdu, and I put down an army in Peking. And generally, I just want to be stable at this point. Like a long time ago, I've lost any delusions of winning the game, and that last turn, losing the um losing the coin flip on, or not losing the coin flip, but not correctly predicting to tap Zining, definitely makes me a little sad because now I'm not getting as much dots. I'm not going to be able to recover as much, and especially you see that the Mughals aren't taking as many units from their holdings over here as I would have liked. They only drop Gobi, which is nice, but it's still leaves a lot of units that I'd have to get through if I wanted to take some dots back.
Yeah, still most of those
So
units on this front.
so I yeah, so I'm just wanting to do kind of stable moves to get a home base going, um, get my armies up. And yeah, and then again, you can see that one of the things that that requires is sending my army back to Chengdu instead of sending it to Bhutan, which does make the um which does make things a lot more difficult for Ayu to be able to progress against Mughals because they did go for the dot greed instead of the positional greed by last year sending supporting Kunming to Bamo from Ava,
Yeah.
which there was support on Bamo instead of sending Kunming to Yongchang and Hanoi up to Kunming. So we're in this kind of weird situation.
Do you
And
think
yeah,
Ezio would have continued working with you here if you had an army in Bhutan?
he does stab me this year. And
Yeah, you mentioned.
he did tell me that I asked him, why did you stab me? And he said it was because you didn't retreat to Bhutan. Um, so, I mean, again, that also sets other things up later down the line. Because I just kind of said, yeah, I mean, I like the Bhutan stab, but like, I'm dealing with Russia, I'm dealing with all these things. I kind of feel that Chengdu just makes a lot of sense. And he's like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm focusing on the South, but you got your whole thing. And I don't feel like it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But he later tells me that it is, and I wasn't aware of that. If he did lay it out to me that it was either retreat to Bhutan or you get stabbed, maybe I would have taken that. But um,
Not a very
definitely
Ezio thing to do.
not a very Ezio thing to do. Um, and yeah, but generally sets me up in a position with Ezio now where I'm kind of worried about, um, I guess saying no to him.
Yeah.
Like I definitely don't want to kind of argue back at all because again, kind of I got burned once here for just suggesting something else, and so I keep that in mind as I go forward with negotiations.
Prior to this point, were you um, in the kind of break free of vassalship at some point mode with Tokugawa?
I mean, it was definitely implied. Like I'm definitely saying I want to keep working with Toku in the meantime, and I don't think we ever explicitly discussed like, oh yeah, we can make these moves against Toku, but I think we both had a kind of understanding that one of the other benefits of him working with me was that I can put pressure against Toku because it's rapidly looking like the end game of this theater is going to be a Toku Ayu war.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean that does like I don't think it was completely unavoidable at this point, but it's rapidly getting there, especially with Mughals having such a bad year. And although they have all these armies, it's still a bad position. They're losing a lot in India here. Um, so yeah, I feel pretty confident in my relationship with Ezio at this point, but we'll see how that goes.
Yep. Here, I think I can't remember what exactly it was, but yeah, this was going to Hohot, and I wanted you to keep this position here. I think I might throw you a support hold there, but I just want to keep this position strong so I can eventually get this to Haishenwai and then up into Highlandpao, and that's the reason I build that. Salt disbands Philippine Sea, but does keep Luzon here, and I remember I was like, why the hell is he keeping that there? He had, I think, some other theater or something, like, he fully disbands here.
Yeah.
And something else. I can't remember, but I just felt like he had like a better unit, or this was like a good unit to disband, and he didn't disband it.
It's everything in the Americas. He disbands Maryland and all of South America.
Yeah, that's right.
We have some chats about this. Basically, me and Salt are kind of chatting throughout the phase where I never once suggest that he actually disbands anything in South America, but just kind of like talk with them about like the board and like what's going on and stuff. And like he like tells me at one point, like, by the way, I'm keeping stuff in South America. Don't get any ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Do whatever you want, man. And then like a few hours later, like someone else pisses him off or something. And he's like, you know what? Actually, I'm bailing on South America. Screw this.
Yeah. Yeah, but he ends up keeping that there, which I was just like, what the hell? But I can't remember even what that does. You 2 fleets, one on the east coast, so that's a little threatening to me long term again. Oh, he only has 3 here, but like the more there are, the harder it's gonna be for me to take this whole area after they're gone. I think I asked him to like start attacking Spain here, like getting stuff into Natuna, go to Cotabato and stuff, but he's more focused on like the Dutch, which makes sense. Like I would be too if I was in his spot. Yeah. Talk more about moves when we get there, I guess. Builds. No Ute fleets. Oh yeah, Ute goes down 1 and has to disband. And Spain gets into Hawaii. I think this is the turn where we're all scared that Atha is gonna attack Ute because he builds like he has all these armies and stuff, and this is just completely empty. And I think everyone was thinking he's just gonna go for a harsh stab on Ute here, but he does not end up doing that.
I have a disband as well. I destroy my only fleet in Africa because Portugal's position is just ludicrously strong at this point. And yeah, I can't do anything with it. I'm basically just at his mercy, so he'll either show me mercy or he will not.
Yeah, and you need all the other units way more than that one.
And yes, you know, there is the whole if I lose a colony, I lose the game thing. But importantly, I have 2 cores in Africa now, one of which is not coastal.
Yeah.
And which means that despite, you know, Portugal's powerful naval position, there's a decent chance that I could hold out in Dejen, or at least be able to get it back if I lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, while Africa is not looking good, it's not necessarily a dead colony as of yet.
Yeah,
it could still recover.
Mm-hmm.
Europe builds around here. Anything interesting?
Oh
yeah, this one I gotta mention. Fleet Durban.
Oh yes, Safavid builds a fleet for the Caspian Sea in 45 after Russia's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This gets a lot of attention around the board.
I think Sam starts a flaming. I think Sam sends in press about being like, I don't even care about winning. If people are just gonna fuck around after they see this move.
Yeah, I remember that too. I actually encouraged Safavid to make this build. I was talking a lot with Safavid around this time of the game, because not only had we had a lot of good press, but they were instrumental in taking down Russia, which became one of my primary objectives after the first year or two. And, you know, despite Ottoman not being very cooperative last year, I still consider her to be a major ally. And so one of the reasons why I encourage the Fleet Derbent is to have Safavid basically lock down this region without, like, threatening her quite as much. But, you know, a fleet in Caspian Sea means that armies can move around very quickly.
Yeah.
and get into spots in kind of unexpected times and places.
It isn't
So-
tactically useless at all, no. But
Oh yeah, especially if Safavid pieces out with Mughal to fight Ottoman, or vice versa, or basically ever needs to do any sort of pivot.
Hmm.
So I think that this fleet is underrated, at least in concept. We will see whether it proves to be actually useful or actually not. But in concept, potential.
makes sense.
Yep. More Russia disbands. And some from Sweden.
Yep, more armies from Sweden. So it's pretty obvious where Sweden's expansion ambitions are. Very much planning to go more into Eastern Europe, which were, dots that I was very much hoping to have.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I can still get Bakhchisarai very easily. I'm still annoyed at Ottoman that I don't have it already. And I'd also been promised Moscow by the Ottoman Safavid friends, so that I have that I'm getting something out of Russia and can fight, have a front to fight Sweden from there. We'll see how that goes.
All right. Anything else? I guess, yeah, the full Dutch disbands. Yeah. I'll go to moves unless anyone has anything else to say.
Nope. Okay.
All right.
So if you zoom in
Spring
on
46.
Chengdu, yeah, Chengdu is not exactly what I want to see. This one hurts. As you can notice that my moves do prevent, I think, anything the Mughals could have done. Had they
If Ezio didn't throw the
if
support.
Ezio didn't do this. I have a guarantee on Lanzhou, I think. In a world where I don't lose Chengdu, I can send Hahat into Lanzhou or Xian into Lanzhou. Or I can try and do some other stuff. Maybe I can try and if you send like that's not Zaisan. It's a little bit blurry for me on my end. What's the unit up there? That one?
Which one?
Two meds.
Yeah.
Two meds, yeah. Two meds could maybe tap Turfan while
Turfan taps.
while Turfan goes into Lanzhou,
Yeah.
supported by Hahat, and then maybe Chengdu goes up into Zining, supported by Xian. There's a lot of interesting things. I might be able. There's still like a possible counterattack where the Mughals continue to collapse, but Ezio supports. Ezio supports them into Chengdu, and I kind of talked with Ezio after this, and things remained kind of cordial. I'm a rational player. If someone stabs me, I just say, "Okay, well, where do we go from here?" Which I think you'll see a little bit later. But
Spoilers, you get stabbed again?
No, I go through this game without getting stabbed any more times. It's a wonderful game of diplomacy. But yeah, I do lose Chengdu here. It's kind of brutal, and this is definitely probably where the Doomium, where I start dooming very hard. Now I'm having to make guesses on whether Hahat's going to be followed into, whether he's going to try and gun it for like Peking or Nanjing. Nothing about this is good. And I talked with Ezio. He's like, yeah, well, I didn't really expect Sasaram to follow up into Bamo. I thought I'd be clearing out the way for me to stab Mughals, and I thought they were kamikazing at this point. I thought they were just suiciding. So I'm gonna send him into you instead of him going into me. Which, to be fair to him, at the beginning of the turn, Mughals kind of pressed me and told me, I'm done with this game. All I want to see is Ezio dead.
Yeah.
So for Ezio, this is a fantastic outcome. Even if I do think it probably would have made more sense to maybe do something like not do this and instead just reposition into Yongchang and Kunming, because then he still has a good position on Bamo. he's not really able to be suicided into, and I can still make progress. But this is definitely, especially this turn, is kind of what cements the whole. Um, and it doesn't matter as much, but Ezio finally seems like he's really ready to work with me exactly when I can never make a comeback. Like at this point, once Chengdu's gone, it takes me so long to get builds in the region. It takes me so long to clear out rogue units that Mughals have in my backline that I can never become a serious power again.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of locked into this Toku vassalage. And then he's talking about actual support, and it rubs you the wrong way, obviously.
Well, right,
Even
because
if it,
basically he's like, hey, now that you can only be a vassal, how about you be my vassal instead of Toku's?
yeah, and I mean, I understand why he's doing it, but again, it's at a certain point, there definitely is the emotion that starts playing into the game, and I mean, I'm not happy with that. You at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I've talked about the other issues we've had with press. I'm definitely not in. I'm definitely inclined, I'll say, to stick with my overlord that has not done me any wrong yet. Um, and not go with the guy who hasn't supported me at all this game. Yeah, but generally not a good turn for me. And then I also see Formosa getting cord, and as always, this kind of move sends me into a little bit of a spiral. But yeah.
All right, so I'll start north too, I guess. Support you up here. I think I think I'd let you pick which one you wanted support on, and I think you asked for that. This gets
Mhm.
dislodged, but I think we were
It's
still planning
unfortunate.
that. I said I'd give, or do I go for Highland? I can't remember what we were planning, but I always wanted you in here before like I go for Highland Pow because I just felt like Shenjing gets too threatened if I go for it, and you're not in there
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, I just felt like it was better long term for you to be there and then me move into it.
Yeah.
Uh, Inuit, I remember I start like apologizing to him after he totally fucks me on the tactics on the last turn. I was like, man, we had such a bad relationship. I should have never stabbed you year two. Like, I'm sorry about that. Let's try and work together again. Like, I want to go for Ching or something like that. Let's get you out of Kuril Sea and into Ainu, and like I'll give you support into Nivix in fall with this Strait of Tartary fleet, and I like won't move into Shantar Bay and Sea of Hawks.
Mhm.
I can't remember now looking at it, but I remember this whole time I had like a plan of what I was gonna move in fall, and I think it was like Strait of Tartary there. This like follows Kuril Sea because I was expecting him to like think I was gonna go to Okhotsk or something, and then this stays here. I can't remember exactly what, but I had a plan of like why I wanted him to go that exact thing.
Mhm.
Here is this the stupid move that I fucking hate too. Yeah, so this is another one that was just stupid of me. I was talking, I guess I should explain my relationship with Spain here first. I wanted Ezio to help me attack the Philippines immediately here. Like, I was like, I can support myself into Philippine Sea. I was talking with Spain, and he was saying like he was just gonna hit it with one support, and then I was gonna go two in there. I think I was gonna try to slip in, or I was gonna try to get him into Luzon, and then we were to go for Manila or something. But he said he didn't want to go for Spain right now. He wanted to use Spain to help attack Dutch and weaken the Dutch. And I was like, all right, like if Ezio is not gonna help me kill Spain, I can't really break into this position right now. So I'm gonna core these two up. And then I'm gonna try to work with Spain. And I got him to support me into Manado here in exchange for like not going into Philippine Sea. And here I talked to him. I asked him like please clear out of NPO because like it just scares me to have other people's fleets in there for obvious reasons. And he was like, yep, I'm planning on leaving NPO, like I'm not gonna be there. And I remember looking at this Hawaii fleet, and I was thinking like maybe he might try to move it out, but I was like, he said he's like leaving NPO. He's probably not just gonna move the fleet out. So I didn't even bother asking him, and then I go to MPO 3 and I get bounced out here, and this just pisses me
Oh.
off a lot, just because it's like such a preventable mistake, and it just kills my
Mhm.
tempo. Like I wanted to move Kuroshio into MPO 3 and then up to Karaginski here, because Karaginski is like completely empty of anything Inuit. So if he doesn't bounce me out there, then I can get into Carricks, Chukchis, Koryaks. I just felt like that was a really nice spot to be for the following year, spring. And that blocked me out there. And then I think immediately after I got blocked out here, Ute starts talking to me and he's like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go into Karaginski Gulf for fall." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like if he gets in there, then that gives him like claims on Carricks and stuff, Carricks and Koryaks long term. Like I was still worried about just getting to 33 or 32 centers at this point, and I was counting all of these Inuit centers as like had to be mine, along with these, and I think like a big chunk of these centers in like the Philippines and Indonesia that I would need to win. So I was like, if he gets in there and he gets claims on like these two before I can get him, that's not good for me.
I just love the irony of Spain's kind of habit of doing whatever he feels like, ending up giving Oot claim to a whole bunch of dots.
Yeah, I was gonna say like fuck. I blame it on me though. Like I should have just asked him like, hey, what's Hawaii doing? And if he says like going to MPO3, I'll just be like, hey, don't, or I'll just go to MPO1 then, right? Like there's another spot that was open.
But he told you he wasn't moving anything to NPO, right?
Yeah, well, he said I asked him what he was doing with MPO5, and I think he said he was like moving it out. And then I just didn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
just inferred that like Hawaii was also not going there because I just didn't expect it to.
Gotcha. I
don't
thought he
know.
was more explicit about it.
Yeah,
But
it was more stupid on my part. I should have just confirmed, and then he would have had to lie to me if he wanted to do that instead of just being like, "Oh, whoops, sorry," because we were trying to work together briefly here. But yeah, I get my tempo killed there. This bugs me so much more than it really should, just the bounce, because I feel like I'm losing maybe 2 centers long term, or at least one. So yeah, I get into Ainu though, kind of useless support, but like I said, I have a plan to take all that stuff anyway. Yeah, I covered everything pretty much. Tasnica.
all right, are things going any better for me in Europe? So, with Russia rapidly collapsing, and Sweden very obviously planning on killing me, I make the decision that I need to peace out with Austria. Because Sweden is the primary threat, and last year, in addition to Ottoman making no progress against Austria whatsoever, France also pieced out with Austria and basically left both me and Ottoman hanging. And I believe Spain was also pressuring Austria, but also backed out. So we went from 5 people fighting Austria to 2, and the 2 weren't making much progress. So I'm like, all right, we gotta peace out Austria here and focus on Sweden. And so me and Cass come up with new plans for doing that. They're going to trade Split for Naples and basically work together against the Spanish and French. So basically, me, Ottoman, and Austria are going to fight Spain, France, and Sweden. And it's going to stabilize all of our positions. Austria follows through on his part. He moves to Naples, he gives away Split, and he takes Pressburg back via Transylvania. So our border is immediately a lot cleaner. However, Ottoman stabs me. And Ottoman, as you might recall, has been my primary ally since the opening turns of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very devastating. Like, I have been 100% pro-Ottoman the entire game. I helped her recover from her +3 year 1. You know, we've had disagreements on tactics, and I, you know, protested when she didn't make moves that she said she would. But other than that, you know, I'd say that I'd been a pretty good ally, and that we were relying pretty heavily on each other. She decided, however, that this was the time for me to go. That her path to victory requires eliminating Poland. Whether or not this is a successful strategy, we will see. But it is certainly not looking good for me. I lose Ochakiv, Jassie's in trouble. I lose Bakhchisarai. Yeah, pretty awful stuff. Now, the one leverage I do have is Safavid, who I'm also close allies with, and obviously has a pretty extensive border with Ottoman. And, I go to him and ask for his help in basically trying to flip Cass back here. This was a spring stab. It's not too late, especially if it's clear that, Safavid will take my side over hers. So I'm leaning heavily on that in an effort to salvage the situation, because I sure as heck don't have the units to salvage it myself. And Safavid agrees. We both talk to Cass a lot, and she agrees that it wasn't a good stab for long term, that us fighting is just going to destroy both of our positions, and that she will back off. So we'll see. In West Africa, Portugal takes Ndikaru. My efforts to... So, I'm expecting him to continue attacking me here. Since, he's been claiming for years that he's going to stab Spain, and then he continues to attack me instead. This year, he does continue to attack me, but he also stabs Spain. Mm-hmm. So, not only do I lose Ndikaru, but I inadvertently block his Fulani army from pulling back. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't even send into the one next to Jacob's Fort.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is kind of just another worst of both worlds scenario, where sure, he's fighting Spain now, but it's going to be a tall order to convince him to not continue taking my African dots.
Yeah, he's pretty much got everything he needs against Spain already.
Yeah. So I've basically I've got press because I have two armies that are not going to tactically succeed. So we'll see if I can press my way out of that dilemma as well. Caribbean. What do we have going on here? I do not walk straight into Palermo, despite the Dutch disbanding everything. I'm trying to remember why I want to make sure that Spain doesn't walk into Orinoco, because as of the start of this turn, I'm like, hey Spain, we've got no units next to each other. I've gotten all the stuff that I can easily get. I got Crocus back. I took Cartagena. Bogota, I can't reach because it's a fleet. And Panama is basically unholdable for me long term. So I'm completely good just piecing out here. I've gone as far west as I want to in the Caribbean. Let's work together against England and France. Spain says sure. I don't trust him one bit, so I cover Orinoco so he doesn't walk into there. He does not, in fact, walk into there. He does go into Bay of Panama, which I'm cool with, because he's got a guarantee on Jamaica. I'm like, hey, yeah, no worries about being in Bay of Panama. Just support it into Jamaica, and we'll have a clean border again. We can, kind of thaw our own relationship and make something happen for both of us in the Caribbean. Before, as you might notice if you look slightly to the west, Oot is starting to build cores along the Caribbean coastline. And it is very obvious that he plans on eventually building fleets and expanding into the Caribbean himself. Not only from, moves and such, but also from my own conversations with Oot all game, where he's been telling me about his plans to build fleets and get a few Caribbean dots before the game ends, which I've been encouraging because there are 3 colonials between me and him. So Oot building fleets sounds like a great idea.
Mhm.
But of course, I also tell Spain, who hates Oot, that, hey, you probably want to get Jamaica and Cuba so that you're in a position to contest this Oot push before he gets a huge navy. So yeah, consider doing that. Let's see. Are these bounces all arranged? Are England and France fighting each other right now? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, France is trying to support Inuit against him, and
Okay, yeah, they're definitely fighting. Okay.
yeah,
So the other
looks
thing
like
that's going
France
on
is
right now,
yeah.
and the reason I moved to Ava's Ridge, is that both England and France want me at Ava's Ridge because they're fighting yet again, and both of them want my help against the other one. I've spent this entire game being allied with both England and France. Me and France have kind of like screwed each other a bit over indirectly, but have mostly been pretty good. And then things with England have been pretty great. So they're both trying to court me against the other. I've been trying to keep them together because I consider Portugal to still be a very big problem, and Spain to potentially be a problem. And basically, there's things they could be doing. But by this point, it's become pretty clear that their relationship is just awful, and I'm going to have to pick a side sooner rather than later.
Mhm.
And at the moment, I am leaning toward England because I trust them more. They're less two-faced um, and the like than France's. And also, France's press has really fallen off a cliff around this part of the game. He's a lot less communicative than usual and a lot more vague in his ideas and proposals. Like, at one point, he's like, yeah, if you stab England here, you'll get all sorts of gains in the Caribbean. And I'm like, oh, sweet. What sort of gains are you envisioning? And he just never really gets back to me on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there had been a lot going on for the French player outside of game. And in fact, I believe he even substitutes out temporarily a couple times
Yeah.
broadly around here.
We should mention the car curse of this game. I think
Oh yeah,
like
God.
5 to
That's
10 people ended up having like car troubles throughout this game.
and of that 5 to 10, I think 8 of them were Tefra.
Yeah.
Because his car, I think the car was like, I think he got rid of it by the end of the game because it just kept breaking in so many ways.
Yeah, there was lots of talk of this game being cursed, especially for people who had dots around the South Atlantic. Like for some reason, St. Helena and Cape Coe, which I believe France had at one point, But like, yeah, anyone who like had dots around that region, especially, seemed to just be extra cursed. It was pretty wild. But yeah, lots of colonial drama, lots of shifting relationships. I wasn't expecting a few years ago that I'd be trying to thaw things with the Spanish and Netherlands, and probably going to stab England or France soon. But that's the state things have gotten into.
Yeah.
Yep. Looks like down here, Garani's trying to pull back from the Mapuche stab this time. So they're trying to make up again.
Is following in, yeah.
I remember like I think every time something like this happened, like I would talk to Garani and he's like, "Oh man, like he moved to Pulce and he wasn't supposed to." It would be like a single move they'd do, and it would just break the relationship again. But
Those two needed so much counseling.
yeah, Athapaska does not go for the Ute stab, which I was like happy at the time because I still feel like Inuit had like way too much strength and stuff, and I wanted him to have as much pressure. And I liked the pressure on Spain too, because Spain was still going to be a opponent of mine in the near future. But I was hoping like eventually these two would fight.
Actually, really interesting contrast in relationships with Ute Atha and Guarani Mapuche.
Yeah,
like both neighbors that have a lot of geographic tension, but very different games in terms of their actual relationships.
Yeah, very high trust up here and low trust down there. All right. Anything else before I move to fall moves?
I don't think so.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Meepstir.
Okay.
The trend is that it'll be really bad for at least one of us.
Yeah, is it bad for me? No, not. Is it?
Well, you're losing Karakoram and Turfan.
Safavids. What are? Okay, Okay, I love Aqua, but yeah. Anyways, I managed to arrange a bounce in Macau with Ezio. This was mainly because I thought Ezio, if I didn't arrange a bounce, was just gonna dot me. But I didn't want to walk into Macau if that didn't happen, so I figured it was just best to talk with him instead of like trying to gun it for Chengdu or something, because as you can see, any moves that I do, I think, oh my god, would have sending. No, yeah. In any move set, I mean, keeping Chengdu would have been good, but in any move set, I'm going to be losing either Chengdu or Macau or Peking/Nanjing, one of them. So it's really not a good position. I do manage to get back into Lanzhou with the support. I think this, yeah. We pop the support there. We get into Lanzhou. And unfortunately, the Safavids decide to work with Mughals here, which does mean that my plan to keep Turfan on the board and have just one more unit that I can have to work with for next year doesn't end up working. Because I'd probably still pop both these. I probably still pop tombs, Toomeds, but I have more things down south. I mean, yeah, it's a very tactical turn. There isn't much. Did I have any concerns with you, Canadian, this year?
Not that I remember. I think I gave you a really nice spring where I walked out of everything. Or I tried.
Yeah, and you just you support me into Chichihar back.
Yeah.
You pop the supporting unit.
Yeah.
I was a little worried that Russia was going to support Chichihar as well, but they're more concerned about following up. Which again, I don't try to contest this because obviously they're going to do it. They're just going to secure their 4 dots. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm really upset about the Safavids kind of working with Mughals here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely like trying very hard, and I'd been doing this through previous turns. Again, Safavids are still looking incredibly strong, and I was kind of trying to sell not Ayu, but Mughals and Russia on an anti-Safavid plan, because the way I was thinking about it, was that if Safavids get like to the east of this Zaisan, Yarkan, Sangpal line, if they start making it through, they're just going to be able to keep pumping out armies. They're going to get a core somewhere, and all of us are going to die in the long run. Like, they're just going to keep putting the pressure this direction. And so I'd been trying to make things work, but we just keep squabbling. And Safavids are able to find, at least for right now, a little niche that they are supporting Mughals into me even more. Which again, at this point, I'm just kind of used to getting full sent into by Mughals, so it isn't much. Yeah, that's my turn though.
Yeah, I might as well mention it too. Here, I'm pretty confident that like Safavid is just gonna long term run over this whole area, and I'm pretty scared like he might or they might be a solo threat down the line, or if not, like I just feel like they're probably gonna win this game. Like they got no enemies in on this side of the board, very weak Ottomans that they can eventually stab. Obviously, they got the Mughal vassal now that's moving out of their out of his dots and into like yours and stuff. South of
Plus,
it is following up.
they have the Caspian fleet too.
Yeah, Caspian
And
fleet.
that's pretty much unstoppable.
Getting into Ob over here. I was happy about this because I did want as much pressure on Russia as possible. So them getting into Ob, I was very happy about. Up
Oh, and the
here,
core Burke.
yeah, Korean Verk, so they can get Arctic fleets and stuff like that too. But like just a very strong position overall.
Yeah.
Here supporting you into Chichahar, cutting the support. Like I said, I want Ming here to have a stronger position to be able to support into here, setting up for attacks on Nivix next year. So like I can hit Nivix with support and Highland Pal with support, getting both dots next year. Predicted Inuit's move here where he would cover Sea of all costs. So I walk in behind, get all the sea tiles. If he goes into Sahilya in the next spring, I can support myself in and cover it. He goes to cover Koryaks. I backfill and get 2 fleets in there. Ute gets one of his dots up there, which is nice. Finish both of my cores here, which at the time I really wanted to push in as much as possible, but I'm actually pretty happy I got both these cores because I feel like they're very nice spots down the line. Still just working with Spain. He wanted support into Celebes. I probably shouldn't have given this in retrospect, but I do give that just to try and stay friendly with him. He moves out of MPO, which I'm happy about. Inuit now out of MPO, so I think it's just... Oh yeah, he gets the retreat here. But I think he might actually retreat into NEC. Yeah, I'm happy about there being less fleets other than Utes in MPO, though, just because I feel like I trust him the most out of all the ones there. And... what else is important? Ayu, I am asking him again to like try to snipe Cotabato anyway, get Spain a little weaker. I think what else was I asking? I think I might have forgot about it earlier, but there is a time where I asked him to like convoy an army that he had down here into like Borneo or Mindoro, but he doesn't do that either. So this is kind of or I'll talk about that later, I guess. Mapuche doing decent against Dutch, gets a dot down there. But yeah, go to Tasnica.
All right, in Europe. Yeah, Ottoman double stabs me. No deal. She takes Jassy. She takes Ochakiv. She keeps Bakhchisarai. And Safavid does not follow through on the plan to, keep the triple going. Instead, he throws me under the bus as well. He was supposed to support me into Moscow here. Instead, he accepts a Swedish support into Moscow. Sweden, being a dire enemy of mine at this point. So this is extremely disconcerting. So I don't get Moscow. I don't get any of those dots. I do get Wono back, which is something. And I do keep the peace with Austria. I help him hold Brandenburg against Sweden. So I've got at least something going for me. Sweden's trying to murder me. Ottoman's trying to murder me. Safavit's helping both of them. But at least I've got Austria in Europe. So
The loyal
huzzah!
alliance player, Austria.
Yes, definitely the person I pegged at the very
Yeah.
start of the game to be a top choice for partner, someone that would absolutely work with me long term, and totally would not kill me at the first opportunity. West Africa. Portugal jukes me here. They tell me that they're going to go make a play for Niani, and ask for my support, which I agree to. But instead, I attempt to bounce them out in order to, help out my good pal England. Unfortunately, Portugal does not move to Niani, so I end up just walking in, and England is not very happy about this. And I'm also not very happy about this.
Did England know you were
because-
gonna try and bounce him out?
No. England. So there was one big downside to my alliance with England, and that was his communication or lack thereof. England was a player who basically, especially during this part of the game, almost exclusively did press on the final day. So you could send him whatever messages and ideas you wanted, but he would be around for a few hours on the final day, and if you wanted to make any actual plans with them and get feedback, that was the time. If you weren't available, too bad. You don't really get to coordinate with England this year. So some of these developments were kind of late in the phase, and I never got the chance to actually talk with England about the Niani move. And Portugal, of course, went to him and said that he would not be moving to Niani. So yeah, this just goes terribly for me. I lose one of my cores. I piss off England, and Portugal just gets to walk away while gaining dots.
Yeah.
Whoops. Let's see if the Caribbean goes any better.
Much better.
So in the Caribbean, I do in fact side with England and stab France here. I take France's only core in the Caribbean. Well, only original core. They've managed to core Bermuda at some point, and are also getting Guadeloupe back. But I don't think they're going positive this year anyway. So yeah, their position is definitely in trouble. And I also take the guaranteed Parmerville. So I did finally dot salt just years after after his initial accusations of me planning on doing so.
Yeah.
And Spain does take the guaranteed Jamaica. But
not with Bay of Panama.
Yeah, now with Bay of Panama. Now, in fairness, if they had taken it from Bay of Panama, Havana would have cut it. But Yucatan Channel just holds. I feel like they could have made an attack against England here that left them, what's the word? Not quite so positioned to stab me in the immediate aftermath. Especially since I no longer have any units next to Cartagena.
Oh yeah,
So
he walks into that.
Yeah, and I'm basically telling him, now the ball is back in my court, right? Like, hey, here's the guaranteed dot. Please don't take it. I'm very clearly on your side and willing to work with me here. And yes, you can get a dot. It will be a short-term gain. There are longer-term alternatives, though. I could be a useful partner in the Caribbean. And, Spain's like, I'll think about it. I'm like, all right. Well, that's probably not going to be a dot I'm keeping for long. Working with Spain was most likely fun while it lasted.
All
But who
right.
knows? Maybe you'll have different priorities next year. We'll see.
South looks like now Mapuche is stabbing Guarani. um,
This keeps going.
yeah, it's like that like every turn. These two continuing to work together well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Portugal, Acheron making progress in Africa. And yeah, anything else you guys want to add or?
No, I don't think so.
All right, builds.
Yeah. As builds come on, I just kind of get rid of all the extraneous stuff that I can no longer afford to keep. Obviously, Canadian is loving me taking my last fleet off the board. If I were in Japan's position, I would love Ming taking the last fleet off too. And then taking my army off on Russia's side. I think there might have been talks of a deal with Mughals at some point, but obviously, I'm basically just hunkering down. And that's it.
Yeah.
And from the people around me, I mean, no real surprises.
Yeah, I actually think I didn't really at this point. I remember while your fleet was in this kind of area, I was a little worried, but by the time it actually got down to Hokkien, I think I actually wanted you to keep it on here so you could start applying like some pressure to Ayutthaya and stuff. But yeah, you ended up like losing one extra build or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the only thing, just two fleets here. Obviously, I can't have any convoy set. Like, I'm not going to build armies here just because there's nothing immediately set up. Inuit up here builds an army, which is a little bit annoying, but it's better than like a fleet west coast. But still, he's filling up this area more than I really want him to, even though he's like leaving this area kind of empty, fighting like Athabasca and stuff. He's got Sweden up here. That was kind of like unfortunate, I remember. Dutch disbands this fleet here, which I'm kind of happy about. And then I don't think anything else major. Ute plops down two more fleets, which I was expecting at the time because Spain retreated into NEC here, and he needed to cover it. But long term, that's a little more worrying for me now that Ute's got like 7 fleets on this side of the board. He's the only other like power in the Pacific that's really contesting me for control of this ocean here, so I'm making sure to be real tight with him. And yeah, don't see anything too much else. Tasnica?
Yeah, so last year, I got brutally stabbed by my best friend in Ottoman, and now have to deal with that. On top of a simultaneous invasion by Sweden. Russia's mostly dead, as you can see. She's disbanding Moscow and basically doubling down on Eastern Russia, essentially becoming like a Mongolian regional. But as you see, I don't build anything in Europe, despite being at war with 2 of my neighbors. But I do have a build. And that build is going into the Caribbean. The Caribbean is currently my most successful colony and is also highly underbuilt. As you can see, I currently have 6 centers in the Caribbean, and am just now building my 4th unit. So, yeah, if I want to hold on to those centers and retain this profitable colony that is basically fueling my survival in Europe and also preserving my hopes of actually winning the game, because I'm still of the firm belief that I need both colonies to at least be moderately intact in order to have any chance of reaching VSCC as Poland. So I am building in New Courland, which is still my only core in the colony, and hoping to reinforce it so that I don't lose my hard-earned colonial gains.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on builds here, or should we just go to moves?
I think we might be able to go to moves.
Yeah, let's check out Spring of 47.
Yeah. So as you can see here, I guess we'll start at the bottom. I think here I tried to like I tried to kind of I tried to do a little maneuver on IU here. Like there wasn't much I could really do in this situation. I knew that like most likely um he was gonna try and take Macau. Like I don't see why he wouldn't have taken Macau in this situation. And so I was pretty worried about that. But I tried to like do a little press, which was like, well, if you help me into Chengdu, then I'll let you take Macau as like, I guess try and sell it while it's still got some value left. Obviously, he didn't do that and didn't go for that, and tries to help Mughals continuing here. Um, but also he is also, just kind of getting Mughals out of the way. He's trying to get the Mughal armies out and in further deeper into me so that he can finally do his stab that he's been waiting a long time for. He gets unlucky because I do moves that stop the Mughals from making it further. And in general, really, I'm just falling back to my home centers, getting ready to wage a campaign of survival. And I think this was a good move, getting to Shaanxi, Lanzhou to Xian, covering all my dots. Like it's not like pretty or anything, but it does give me a lot more options and a lot stronger options now that I'm not at risk of like having anything blown up. And then up in the north, we have this move which Canadian requested of me, which was Chichihar to Amur, because he wanted it to be tapped in case Highland Pow was getting done. At least that's what he told me. Canadian, did you want me tapping Amur to stop it from
Yeah,
from
that was the
supporting?
plan.
Was that really the plan? Like
Yeah, it was.
legitimately? Wow.
I'll talk about fall when it comes up, but that wasn't originally my plan.
Okay. I was kind of like, this is a very odd move. I don't really know why Canadians not just like getting me to support Highland Pow. Like, I guess technically, if Ilk Kuri is tapping Chichihar, then it's similar.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it would cut you, right? And then,
yeah, but
I think what I was worried about was like, Inuit support holding Highland Power or something, and then like, Ikari messing with you somehow. And I just wanted to get this like a guaranteed thing done. And then I
yeah,
figured if you got kicked out, like I would just support you back in.
yeah, then that's a fair thing to do. Support me back in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I didn't really love this move, but at this point in the game, Canadian would tell me jump, and I would say how high. Um, so I definitely just went along with it. Um, but I was definitely when I saw the moves go through, I'm like, well, this is really out of position. Um, like I'm really far up, and there's not a lot of dots that I can go for besides Chichihar and Yakutsk. Um,
Oh,
not
it
really
actually
what I want.
wasn't. Now looking at it again, it was to get Nivix, not to get Highland Pow, because Amur
Okay,
could have supported Nivix.
okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah,
it's two birds with one stone, right? It could support hold either of them.
Yeah, so I just wanted that cut no matter what, and then this is a guaranteed move set for me to make progress.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I got Russia to kind of cooperate a little, um, uh, forcing into Gobi. I was pretty disappointed, I guess, to see these moves out of Safs. I had talked with them a lot and was really trying to like. I had really good press with Safs, um, and we were trying to get something done, but they were never able to come around in time. They always had a reason not to, and so they moved up here. And at this point, they really can't help me anymore. And I just need to cover my dots. Like it's too many tiles away. And yeah,
Yeah.
um,
I think at this time Mughals was their vassal, right? And then they were mainly
yeah,
focused on
but
trying to get Russia.
they're. I'm not sure if I love that. I think you need to get a, and I guess we'll see how it goes for them. But you do like getting into those Russian dots is going to take a long time of Mughals continuing to be your vassal. When you can probably force, like if I'm cooperating here, like you can probably force, like Turfan is going to be pretty simple no matter what you do. Um, Getting Zinning is going to be possible. Like I think there's a lot more reasonable dots here.
Well, note that Safavid is also working with Inuit, or at least trying to. So
Yeah.
I'm presuming that his plan is for Inuit to fulfill your role, to basically have Inuit and Mughal work for him, and then he doesn't need you.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering what those three units, like Yarkand, the ones that are starting in Yarkand, Uzgen, and Sangpa this year, like it's just getting them over, like the time it will take them to get through this kind of choke, like through Turfan, through two meds. Um, you've kind of already made it into this, like it's going to take long there, and you're probably going to not need all three of these units because of just how tight of a corridor it is.
Presumably, the goal would be for Zaison to support Yenisei to Krasno, assuming Yenisei isn't dislodged here like it is.
Yeah, but then you can't.
While
Yeah,
the other two take Turfan with Mughal's permission.
yeah. I understand the idea. I just again, it's you're giving a lot of power to Mughals here. You're sacrificing a lot of potential dots that I think like you have a better claim on than
Hasn't that
these.
been a bit of a trend this game, where Mughal's constantly been on the back foot, but setting really favorable terms for himself in vassal agreements?
Yes.
So he keeps on bouncing back.
Yeah. It was really like kind of frustrating at times, like because I would continually have like obviously Mughals were winning the war, but I would continually have pretty decent turns. I'd make little bits of progress here and there, um, and then you just have all this blowing up in my face, and he just keeps managing to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Yes, I think we're seeing Mughal press in action here.
Yeah, I think like Mughals were really unhappy with their press. Like they mentioned at the end of the game that they thought their press could be a lot better. But like based on some of this, I don't think their press was really an issue. They seem to do just fine in a lot of cases.
It might deteriorate later in the game.
That is possibly true.
But right now, I think this is good Mughal press that's creating the situation.
Definitely. I think that's everything for me.
I think I
if you want to
remember
speak on it, Kenny?
I had like a similar kind of read here. I was encouraging Safavid to come put pressure on Russia here. Like I remember I asked for this Yenisei move when it happened, and then I think I was encouraging them to go to Zaizan and stuff like that. They are also. I should mention. I don't even think I mentioned this in the whole other recap. On like day 1 or day 2, I reached out to Safavid and we made like a cross alliance or cross board alliance with each other. Yeah, they were telling me like they were a high press player, but they don't like to do it with many people and they like to lock in with like a few tight allies or something. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be your like cross board ally and we can eventually cut up Asia and like push it from either side and make progress together and meet up later down the game." So like throughout the whole game we were discussing like kind of the people in the middle, and at one point we were discussing Russia, and like our plan was to cut Russia, like he was going to come or they were going to come over the top and through Zaizan and stuff and get these two top dots, and then I was going to pressure this way and get into like Ikuri and Karakorum and stuff. But I remember thinking that would take like so long when I was first looking at it. Like from this position here, I remember thinking it would take like probably 4 or 5 years for us to be able to like eventually get Russia out of there. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think going like after Mughals first and like letting me or you and me get in position to like hit Russia before Safavid goes on it might have been smart.
Mhm.
Funnily
But yeah,
enough, Safavid made the exact same pitch to me
was
at the start of the game.
oh
Um,
really?
Safavid Poland cross-board alliance.
Yeah, I could. I
Lots and lots of press.
I knew at the end when they were showing the messages from everyone and Aqua was like the number one in the whole game. I was like, oh yeah, you were talking to everybody. But yeah. Here. So what my plan was here, I wanted to eventually stab Ming for Chichahar, or whatever it is. But I was planning on doing it in the fall of the next year, not this one. I wanted to eventually get this position here, keep you in Chichahar, so like Russia and Mughals couldn't get it, or Qing or Inuit, anyone else. I wanted you to keep it until I was gonna take it. I was putting this here, and then I was gonna build an army in Amori next winter, convoy it over in spring, and then I was gonna try and take Chichahar from Highland Pow while backfilling Highland Pow with the army. So when I did stab, I would have like 3 units here and a solid foundation. So that was like the long plan term here. Like I was gonna support you back in doing this move for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Um,
these are interior dots, and so you can no longer rely on your naval strength.
what was that?
These dots you're scheming for, these are interior dots. They're inland.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So these two
you
are
need those armies.
super risky, especially Chichahar here. Highland Pow, I figured if I'm getting Inuit out of here, and as long as he doesn't like keep an army down here to bug me, I pretty much got like no armies on this. Well, we got this guy here now too, but I kind of wanted to make like a barrier here for Inuit so he couldn't get across, and then push this way. So Chichahar would be the one that's at risk, but yeah, I wanted to make sure like I had a solid foundation before I actually expand further. Um, Inuit here, I'm just moving in on attacking Nivix just because there's no way for him to hold it. I think I expected him to cover Evanki, so I just moved in. He bounces me here. Go into Koryaks. He can't defend that, so that's taken. Is this the turn? I can't remember if I mentioned it last time or if this has even happened yet, but I do make an agreement with Ute that neither of us put more than 2 fleets in NPO. So that's why I'm like doing things like backfill. You'll see me do this throughout the game, where I like backfill my own units instead of just going for the empty spot, and that's because we agree to always have an empty spot. Um, yeah. Down here, I'm trying to get Ute into. Oh yeah, I should mention that too, because this is like the big part of the game where I shift my thinking. So Athapaska and Ute have been extremely close this whole game, and there's been multiple opportunities that I thought like they could stab each other, and they've been peaceful this whole time, always been working together. And I eventually just look and I realized that like Athapaska just has way more to gain from getting like this entire like this huge half of the colonial chunk instead of like trying to go for a big death war against Ute. And Ute's also the same, where he also can get like a bunch here. He's aiming to go for the Caribbean and stuff like that. So my thinking was I'm gonna have to, and I don't want to fight Ute because like I'm not gonna be able to. I might be able to like mess with him in the oceans and kind of win, but I'm never going to be able to actually get a campaign where I'm like getting my fleets on the coast and like convoying armies onto the coast if Athapaska isn't helping me attack him too. And Athapaska gives me nothing to suggest that he's going to ever attack Ute. So I changed my plan of mind that I'm going to work with Ute and Athapaska the whole game and try and win with them. And the only way I can really lose at this point is if Ute starts attacking me, starts going for Japan, starts convoying Athapaska's units over to Kamchatka and stuff and getting armies come this way. So I'm very, like, my whole game becomes just do not get attacked by Ute and do anything I can to make him happy. So I try to get him to come over into this area of the board with at least 1 unit, offering him support into Zamboanga. so that like at least because right now we don't really have anything we're working together. Like we've had good press this whole game, and we've done a few moves where we've like cut some fleets in the Pacific, but we've never actually worked together on anything. So I was trying to get him in this area so we could actually directly work together on stuff. Like I could directly support him into Zambo, and then he kind of feels like he's I don't know, like incentivized to work with me, or he's got like some stake in actually working with me and helping or making sure that I don't die if I'm helping him get dots in this kind of area. So I asked him to come into here. I can't remember. It's either this turn or the next turn, but I actually send you a huge pitch and say that like if he wants to win with Athabasca and me, like we can't win with Mapuche just based on how many dots are in the Pacific. Like I do a huge count up. Athabasca to win pretty much needs like the entire half of North America here, like everything above like Mohawk, Boston, Falmouth, and everything up. Like if he gets all this, he can get to 32 no problem. But that leaves you with only like a few more things he can get from NA, so he can get like maybe 4 more or something like that, and he is only at 17 right now. So he still needs like another 15 dots, and if he's gonna win with Athabasca, he has to get those 15 dots somewhere other than North America. So I was like, okay, obviously like I'm a huge target here. If he's got like him and Atha can aim for all the stuff that I'm gonna start taking here. Or I can start pushing him either in this area where I'm gonna have to expand, or down to South America. And I think it actually is next turn I pitch this. So I'll go more into detail with it later. But I do start trying to get him into different areas rather than like heading my way at this point. Spain, I decide to finally attack here. I finished both of my cores. Him, if you remember, I was working with for like 1 turn or like a turn and a half last time. I decided to like DMZ that area so he wouldn't bug me, and he put me into Monado. But from here, like I cored both these territories and I don't have too much else to go. So I was waiting for Ayutthaya. I was kept trying to get Ayutthaya in on this attack the whole game, and he never really wanted to go in on Spain. And I think I described why. Like it makes more sense for him to hit the Dutch and kind of leave Spain to roadblock me. And Spain was being nice to him too, so there's no real reason for him to hit Spain. And if Ayutthaya is sitting in like Natuna Sea and South China Sea and not attacking Spain, then like there's nothing else I can do. There's nothing else I'm waiting for, so I decided to just go for it right now. Pushing into Luzon, I don't think I told either one of them about this, and I don't think Ayu told me about him moving to Luzon either. I think we just did this, and then he kind of got mad that I moved into his territory, but I was like, hey, you were trying to move in here too without telling me, so like we're kind of both guilty there. Yeah. I guess I'll talk the rest about the other stuff when it's fall. We'll hop over to Tasnica.
All right, let's take a look at Europe. First thing you might notice is that my secret best friend from turn 1 of the game, crossboard Sophovids, are coming to my aid by stabbing Ottoman, which is great for me because Ottoman just took several dots from me and put me in a really tough spot. So now it's me, Safavid, and Austria versus Ottoman and Sweden. And Europe goes all right this turn. I get into Bakhchisarai, and I don't lose anything. So despite putting 0 builds in Europe, things for the moment seem okay-ish. Meanwhile, in West Africa, I cut a deal with Portugal. Portugal stabbed me really hard, took St. Louis and Jacob Fort in recent years, but agrees to give Jacob Fort back, taking Endikaru instead. So no net loss for him, and basically to let me have my course. I can do other stuff in West Africa. We leave each other alone while he stabs Spain. Spain, of course, not being at all pleased about this development, as Portugal makes some pretty serious progress against him. So this seems like a good deal for Portugal. His minor rival in me makes a small comeback, while his major rival in Spain just gets completely pounced on. You see Ottoman also joining in. So it is not a good time to be Spain. And if we look at the Caribbean, I'm not exactly sympathetic to his plight. Spain and I pretty famously had a major clash at the start of the game. Spain had clashes with several other players. I was probably only like the third most player he butted heads with after Aymara and Oot. But some pretty serious disagreements. But in recent years, I've been trying to kind of what do you call it? Have a bit of a détente, cool things down. We came to this agreement where we'd leave each other alone. How he would fight England and I would fight France. And I held true to my part of it. While Spain decided to just do a complete U-turn off of England, you see England coring here. So instead of using his 3 fleets to take all of Cuba from the English who are coring, he instead sends 1 fleet to troll Oot. Too late, which is too late to finish the Oot core. And send the other 2 to take 1 center from me. We will see if this was a wise and productive decision from Spain. But from this point on, my press basically falls on deaf ears. What little press Spain does send me is, basically the same, I don't like how you played at the start of the game. I'm taking dots from you.
What didn't you like?
Too bad.
What didn't he like about you at the start of the game? Didn't you just try to ally him and then he dotted you?
So yes, but you see, Spain considered the dot to be his dot.
Oh, what a silly mistake on my part.
Because you see, Caracas, while it is next to Poland's core, Spain can force it year 1 if they choose to. And since Spain has the option of forcing it, that means it is a Spanish dot. And any Poland who wants Caracas is a fool who deserves to get killed by Spain.
Damn, I should have just told Mughals that when I forced Bamo. That would have solved everything.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, Bamo is obviously a Ming dot
Ming.
because Ming can put 2 units on it and force it. And any Ayutthaya who disagrees deserves to be death ward for the rest of the game for being a bad player who makes poor strategic choices.
True, so true.
And as we can see from the leaderboard here, Spain's playstyle has been extremely successful and has really been teaching me a lesson on how to best play Imperial Diplomacy with good decision making and wise and equitable relationships.
Yeah. One thing I did notice about Spain that I thought was a slight mistake was like moves like this where he was, I guess it depends like what you're doing at this point because his game's kind of shot. So it's like, what do you want to get out of it, right? And like, I guess if someone screws you over, like you can do moves just to fuck with them, just to like kind of make them worse. And then in future games, it can build your reputation where it's like, hey, don't stab me or I'm going to like have units hanging around and fucking with you the whole time. But I felt like he should have dropped like NA and probably South America way earlier. I don't even think he ever did. Like I remember like I asked him to do it multiple times down here later on in the game. Where I asked him to like disband some units and maybe like use them to save areas that he's doing good. But he just kind of kept like a few units in each of these theaters and let them all slowly die instead of just cutting one and like kind of strengthening one like Salt did down here, where he ends up cutting like all his African and South American theaters and then just keeps a very strong core down here. And he's able to keep that pretty much till the end of the game. Where like Spain just kind of slowly died in a lot of different areas. And I remember thinking like like he just tried to mess with Ute and Aymara way too long after they were already winning. But I guess if he already thought his game's lost, then like why not screw with the people who killed your game?
It's actually a really interesting comparison, especially in this extreme example, right? Of Salt famously disbanding like 4 units in one theater all at once,
Yeah.
while King of Prussia, holds on to everything he can. And that's kind of like the dichotomy of colonials, right? There's 2 kinds of colonial players. Ones that will fight tooth and nail for every single colony, no matter how much it costs them elsewhere. And in fairness, I'm kind of one of those players in this game, though I went in with the belief that as Poland, you have to play that way, where I don't necessarily believe that holds true for the other colonials. But regardless, that one type of player. And then the other type of player that, once a colony starts becoming unproductive, where it is a drain on your resources rather than a boon, you just cut the whole thing and reinvest elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're dealing with colonials, it is really important and an underrated skill to identify which sort of colonial player they are. Because the last thing you want is to attack a colonial thinking they're the sort that will just drop things once they're clearly going to lose in the long run, and instead have it be that one who keeps 1 or 2 troll fleets around for the entire game, despite having like no dots left.
Yeah. Yeah. Where were we at here?
We were talking about the Caribbean. So yeah, Spain attacks me, and basically blows off my efforts to negotiate moving forward. To the extent that I believe Spain is one of the few players in this game that I just stopped pressing entirely for the last several years. Just because it got to the point where I realized that any press I sent them was counterproductive. It would make him more likely to mess with me.
Yeah,
Like I literally got better results by gunboating than by
That is unfortunate.
which is either an indictment on my press or an indicator of how much Spain disliked me. But yeah, gunboating worked better than pressing.
Sometimes people just
For
don't
most of the
gel.
game.
I remember with the second Russia, I think I did a similar thing. It felt like every time I sent them press, like it just blew up in my face, and then I'd be dealing with something and it was just unhealthy. And then I started gunboating and suddenly everything's hunky-dory. Yeah.
Yeah. Tough thing for me to do is I'm one of those players who likes to press everybody every single phase. But every once in a while I just like Tasnica, shut up.
Yeah, sometimes silence is the best answer.
Just gunboat them. It'll probably work better.
All right, should we go to fall moves?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm also the same where I always feel like I gotta press, but sometimes it's just better to like not say shit. I don't follow my own advice enough.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of these videos, right? Is to give all the advice, the very helpful and wise advice that we don't follow ourselves.
Yep. Okay, spring moves. Meepstir.
Okay. So as everyone has always known, Canadian is like I've talked to him and I've had some good conversations, but we realize that he is a bastard in his heart of hearts. And nothing good ever comes from working with him. No, so Chichiar here was the most pissed off I've been in at you in this game. I was gonna say in a while in diplomacy, I was pissed off at so many more people, but this one particularly was just annoying. I think I complained to you right after this, and like at Canadian, I was like, "Why'd you do that, man? That's annoying. Um, come on." And then I went over to Taz and was like, "Fuck this guy. What is he like? What the fuck is happening here? Why I haven't even fucking done anything. This is." So, obviously, Canadian wants Chichiar. Makes sense, right? What and I want an explanation on. I think I do understand what the thinking was here, but the thing is that I had an agreement from Russia, who was Bumble this phase. This was the first phase Bumble came in, and I had agreement from Bumble that if I wanted, I could get supported into Yakutsk by Yensei. And I went to you and I said, "Hey, do you want me to go for this?" Like, I didn't want to explicitly say, "Hey, I think you're probably looking at nabbing Chichihar. Um, do you want me to just go for Yakutsk instead?"
Yeah.
And you told me I shouldn't do that. And then did this. So I'm kind of wondering what your thinking was here. I'm guessing it was you were planning on stabbing me next year. But and like wanting me weaker so that I'd be easier to clean up, but was that correct or
No, so this was actually kind of weird. So originally, like I said, when this went through and we were sitting on this position without moves, I was originally just planning on supporting you back in, and I didn't really give it a second thought. And then Aqua in Safavid came to me, and they're like, "Hey, you know what's a really cool move you could do?
Oh my god, Aqua.
Shenjing to Kikar." And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? That actually is like real cheeky. I could probably pull that off. So I was sitting there like the whole phase, like, you could walk into. I was trusting that you weren't gonna, but the main thing here was I didn't want to stab you. I guess I should, before you even got this offer to Yakutsk, I was already like thinking of this, and I was like, if I do stab you here, and I can't remember, you were gonna. I was thinking you were gonna pick up Chengdu, and lose that, which would put you on 3.
You put me on 4 if I got Chengdu here.
1, 2,
And lost Chichihar, I think.
3. Oh yeah, 4 because you have Han Yang. Yeah, so I kind of wanted this unit to be disbanded the next turn, no matter. Like, I didn't want to stab you, and then you have units in Hohot and Amor sitting there while I have Shenjing open and only 1 unit to support Chichahar with, especially because like there's a bunch of other units that could go around. It's hard to remember like months later too, because I remember when I'm doing this shit, I think of like what every unit can possibly do, and I try to think of like every outcome that could happen and like what moveset works best and like the majority of the most likely outcomes. But yeah, Bumble came to you late I think it was like the last day, and I remember
Yeah, it was.
it was around like lunchtime or something. There was like a few hours left, and I remember he gave you that offer, and then you had the offer. You wanted me to support you into Hohot up to Chichahar, and I was thinking like if I wanted you to go to Peking, because if you go to Chichahar and then I do this, you're just gonna have the unit in Hohot, and then that's gonna be threatening to Shenjing and stuff. So I wanted this unit to leave no matter what, and then a more. I can't remember. Obviously, this one stays here, but I think like you having an extra unit, I didn't want it to end up coming back down, or you end up working with Russia eventually against me the next year. And then there's some other reason, but it was just like last minute. I was thinking, and I'm like, man, I don't want to like miss. I don't want this to go through, and then me miss something and be like, oh shit, I should have just stuck with my original plan. Like I had this all planned out. I thought I had a very nice setup where I was only gonna have like 2 units adjacent to this or something by fall or by the next year. But yeah, I wasn't, and when I did this, I wasn't actually planning on like continuing a stab on you. Even my original idea where I was gonna come with this army and like take it over, my plan was just to like keep pushing on Russia here, and then like maybe later down the game come down at you. But I still wasn't thinking like attack you yet. I was just doing this as like a cheeky dot, and I knew like you didn't really have the ability to retaliate against me.
And that makes sense. I definitely did not interpret it that way. I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting that Safavid
Yeah, I'm
came
kind of
here with.
fucking pissed at Aqua a little bit. Like,
Well,
what
I
the
mean,
fuck, Aqua?
Yeah,
believe me, we'll get more behind the scenes reasons to.
I mean, I may have seen
Listen,
this even without
I,
them mention.
I personally, I love Aqua. I have great conversations with Aqua, and they're wonderful. But also, what the fuck?
Well,
Yeah, I may have
it could
ended
be
up
both.
seeing this because they did mention it to me. Like, I don't know, it was like 20 minutes into the phase or something, and I was just like, "Oh, look at that! Like, that is a move." But I also may have not just looked at it because I remember thinking like for a phase or two before, like this was just going to be the long term plan. I was like, "Oh yeah, just going to put him back, get my army up here, and then attack him the next year."
Hmm.
So like I may have just thrown that in the back. I don't know, but yeah, they're the one that gave me that idea originally.
I mean, I can see how it benefits Safavid, right? Because Safavid is stabbing Mughal here,
Yeah,
notably leaving Russia alone. So piecing out with Russia, Inuit tries to stab, but Safa blocks it. Stabs Mughal. So now, if you Tokugawa stab Ming here, then not only is Mughal getting stabbed, but everyone on the opposite side of Mughal is also fighting each other. So there won't be a strong unified foe after Safavid breaks through.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Then down in this, like, that's obviously that one. Honestly, like, I was a bit shocked because we were allied, but like, I was probably more like annoyed at the IU moves down here. Like, I just don't get it. I guess, like I take Chengdu if IU just gets Bamo for themselves. And I kind of don't know why they didn't. Like, I think it just comes down to that. I don't know why they didn't. Just help me just grab Bamo. I mean, like, I guess, like, at this stage I'm really weak. Even if I get Chengdu, I'm not really gonna be a threat ever again to them. And like, they have an option to get another dot. Mughals could have an awful year. I mean, if they're doing press well, they're gonna know about stuff like Turfan and Lanzhou. And I just feel like they had an opportunity and they kind of didn't take it up.
Yeah, I'd agree here. I think I mentioned it in my void too that I thought I was playing a little too passive most of the time this game. Like I was mad that he wasn't going to attack Spain and stuff. But I think, but like there was times like this, and I think there was another time either earlier or later in the game where it also looked like he had a good stab, but he decided to just support hold. And it's hard to say from the outside because like if you're getting pressed from both the players and you're not feeling confident, then like sometimes it is just the best move to do a defensive move. But yeah. Like you kind of got to go for it sometimes, right?
So
Yeah,
IU sent me very little press, but if I had to guess why he decides to stick with Mughal here, my guess would actually be Audron. Audron swooped in just a turn or two ago and started helping the Dutch attack IU.
That's right.
And Audron is also a vassal of Portugal. Mughal is fighting both of these powers. I could see Ayutthaya being very worried that if Mughal gets further weakened here, or even worse, if Mughal starts actively fighting him, then this Portugal Audron Dutch thing is just going to swoop in and undo the few gains that he's getting down in Borneo.
I guess.
Yeah.
So I think this is a reaction to not what's going on in China, but what's going on in the Indian Ocean.
That's possible.
Note also that at the same time, Eno 5, Ayutthaya fleet, walks into Reunion.
Yep.
True.
He is fixated on Portugal and Audron, who again are tight allies at this point. And Mughal is also fighting both of them.
Yeah.
That's IU's priority.
I kind of wonder because I definitely think like I think I've mentioned it before, but like by like this point in the game, there's so much bad blood between each individual member of this triple that like no one is really doing press with each other. I think like I've like looked over the chats and like half of the like some of the chats are like Ayu and Mughals like reluctantly working together, but then the rest are them just like arguing. Um and so I kind of yeah, I kind of wonder if he just wasn't interested in this theater anymore. Like if he was just kind of mentally done with it and then like kind of it didn't really play into a lot. Because I think like again, he did the moves into Yongchang and into Kunming. Like obviously that's gonna piss Mughals off already. Um, I don't know. I think he could have used more dots. Probably. I think you can always use more dots in dip. Yeah. But I think you're probably right, Taz, on why he didn't.
Yeah, I see that too.
Yeah. But yeah, so because of all that stuff, this leaves me with at the end of the turn, I have Peking, I have Nanjing, and I have Hanyang. I don't get into Chengdu. And I'm sitting at 3. So I would have loved to be able to like get into Yakutsk, disband the army, um, and then be able to put like just 4 on Chengdu in spring, and really just like blow it to high hell.
Yeah, I
Again,
remember thinking I was gonna ask you when you were thinking of going to Yakutsk. I was gonna ask you if I could just support myself into Chichahar too, if you were gonna get one here. But I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leak it. Like if you said no, and then it's like, oh, he's looking at that move. Like he might.
Oh, I was kind of asking you because I was hoping you'd like I definitely was like I'm a bit worried about Chichihar. Like I think it's a good move to support himself into Chichihar and he might be looking at it, so I'm gonna tell him about Russia's offer so that he has an off ramp to like tell me about the stab that he's gonna do and
I
like
think
kind of like
you wanted
justify it as
What if
or
what if
Russia. What the plan was for you to send Hohot up though, so it was like me to support
was it?
Hohot up, and then you
Oh,
go.
I was kind of doing that as like you can counter, I guess. Yeah. I definitely was like I don't want to like just give up Chichihar, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
which
Mhm.
ironically enough, in retrospect, probably would have been the
Yeah,
winning
I
play.
think if you
But
would
if
have
you just go
told me that you're just gonna go to Yakutsk and like back to Peking, I would have been cool with that. I think.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
I
because
was a
that's
bit
exactly
greedy.
what I was thinking.
It's hard for you to tell though, because you don't know I'm stabbing you, right? And I do a lot to
Yeah.
try and keep that
And I
stuff
was just
on the
like,
down low.
Canadian, we're having good press.
Yeah,
There's been no stabs the whole game. Maybe like if I say, can I get Chichihara and Yakutsk, he'll say yes. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that covers everything for me
Yeah,
though.
it's
I
always
don't think
really interesting mystery. There's always like one offer you can make that'll like stop the stab, but you don't know what offer
yeah.
that is until
Yeah,
it's too late.
yeah. I guess also Mughals get blown up in the north a little bit. I'm definitely happy to see it, but yeah. Um Russia
Lanzhou,
refocuses.
no, Lanzhou actually ends up retreating to Hohhot, which is something I didn't even
Oh my
consider.
god, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because that was the whole point where I fucked up too. I remember after I did this, I was like, "Fuck! I probably should have waited because now Mughals retreats to Hohhot and Russia's here, and then Mughals has the option to walk into Shenzhen or work with Russia to hit Kikahar." And I was like, "Oops!" Like I did,
Yeah.
I didn't think this one was gonna happen.
Okay. I think that covers everything for me then.
Yeah. Okay, for me, we already talked about this, like pretty much my idea on that. For Inuit, I am just like positioning. I'm just keeping this safe here in case Aldan supports Evenki to it, since that's the only way that can keep Nivix for sure. I cut Karex for. I think if Evenki goes here and Karex goes here, that's this fleet. I just want to hold here. I don't think this is actually a move, but it's just like a low chance. Maybe he walks out of Karex, I get in. Otherwise, I just want to hold that there. My plan here, I can't remember the exact tactics, but I remember I have a setup where I'm like sure to take all 4 of these dots by the end of next fall, just based on how many units I have compared to him. Like I move Shantar up next spring, and then something like that. But that's this area I've pretty much won, and I just need to take the time to win it. Down here, this one, I kind of fuck over Ayu here. I can't remember. He was mad that I moved into Luzon straight. And I was like, well, man, like, you're not helping me attack Spain at all. Like, I need to get these tiles next to the Philippines so I can start going in. I remember we had a talk, and he mentioned to me, he's like, "Well, what happens after Spain is gone? Like, aren't you just gonna come and attack me and kill me?" And I had to be like, "No, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I want to go down here and attack this whole area. You're too strong. Like, I don't ever like fucking with strong people. I always attack just the weaker players and make easy gains that way." And I remember I was just getting a bad vibe from him where I was like, oh man, he's probably going to like cut Luzon, or he's probably going to support Manila, or just something weird. So at the end of the conversation, he did agree, and eventually he's like, yeah, I'll help you work with Spain. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to offer him support into Manila just so like he doesn't, I'm going to go for Manila no matter what, but I offered him support into it just so like he doesn't tap me or doesn't support Spain or do something else. And then when that move went through, obviously he's kind of pissed at me. He's like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, why did you offer me support to Manila and then just take it yourself?" And I explained to him the same thing I just explained here, where it's like I just didn't trust that you weren't gonna cut me, so I went for it. Um, Supporting myself into Philippine Sea here just to backfill and have extra support for the next year, going for like Cebu and stuff. Okay, this area is now important. So this deal I talked to about last turn, I'm sure this is the one. I give it to him between this one, this turn, and fall moves happening. Or no, before these moves happen, I talked to you about our long-term strategy and how, like, if we're gonna win together, if all three of us, Athapaska, Ute, and me, are gonna win together, he needs to eventually go for Mapuche here, because Mapuche is getting like why did I think Guarani? I remember he was like looking weak or something, and I decided like Ute needs to attack him to win. Like, this area has a bunch of dots on this eastern coast here, and I think Guarani was like telling me or something he was gonna. I can't remember why I thought Guarani was gonna attack Mapuche, but I remember it was a good time for like Ute to also start going into Mapuche. But he doesn't go here. I first ask him to go into Halmahera because I want to attack Philippines and break this position. But I remember asking him, like, long term, you and me are going to have to start looking at attacking Mapuche coming in the next years. And I counted up my own dots, and I realized like I would need pretty much this whole area. I was counting Ming's whole coast here in like what I would need for my end game. I was counting like some of Ayutthaya in here and like a bunch of this stuff. I knew I didn't need all of this stuff if I got like all the land stuff up here, but I would still need like 8 or so dots in like this whole region, and Ute needs 15. So I was like, me and Ute can kind of split up this whole area. Like, maybe I get like 8 to 10 dots and he gets like 4 or 5, something like that. Because there's like 15 if you count everything in this area. And then I was thinking like his next 10, he'd probably have to get like maybe a couple in the Caribbean, 2, 3. But he would have to get like a bunch of this coastal area to be able to hit his VSCC if Athapaska is also going to take like the whole Northern America. So I write up maps. I write like pretty much everything I just said. Like, we're gonna have to death war each other if like we don't go after these other players here, and I'll go after Ayutthaya and stuff and get all the land dots. He originally didn't. Well, he told me that like sounded good, but in his void and to Athapaska, he didn't like this at all. I read their chats after, and they were both talking about like eventually convoying to Kamchatka and stuff and attacking me, which is exactly what I was worried about and why I was going so hard and like trying to be peaceful with Ute and give him another path to expand other than me. And we'll talk about it more next turn, because that's more of a decision point than here. Like, he doesn't actually have to commit against Mapuche here. We're just working against Spain. But yeah, I also offer him support into Chukchis this turn. Like I say, I'll get into or no. That's next year I offer that. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's good for now. Tasnica?
All right, let's take a look at Europe. So in Europe, pretty much same alliance structure as the spring. No major stabs. I'm able to take Ochakiv by bailing out of Akchissarai. I'm able to take Jassy, and also bounce Ottoman out of Kiev. So not only am I getting back the 2 dots that Otto stabbed off of me last year, but I also have a core open for a build, which is great. Less cool is the fact that I lose Wilno. Not that I really could have prevented it with this moveset, but Sweden's just insistence on pushing as hard as possible into me is extremely annoying, and I'm not able to do much about it. Meanwhile, in West Africa, things go great. Portugal continues beating up Spain. I get Jacob Fort back in exchange for Nakaru. And I get supported into Timbuktu by 2 separate people. It is always really awesome when 2 different players support you into the same dot. Although the fact that Portugal is starting to core Ualada is a bit concerning, because again, twice previously this game, Portugal has come down and stabbed me the moment I was vulnerable. So I am keeping an extremely wary eye on them. I do not entrust their intentions one bit. In the Caribbean, I am working hard with England here. England and France, after going back and forth numerous times earlier in the game, seem to have finally decided that they are in fact fighting each other. I have firmly sided with England here. I help them get Guadalupe. I cover Cap Haitian. And Spain. Spain's fixation on me really bites him this turn. Because Spain, despite the fact that I don't have any supports on Cartagena, I only have 1 unit adjacent to it at the moment, decides to support hold, basically just to spite me and send a message that he's not going to make it easy for me to take it back. Which, message received. Warning, there is another message. You've just lost Jamaica to England, who took the opportunity to walk right in. Because for some reason, Spain thought that England, who he's also clashed with repeatedly this game, was totally going to finish the Baracoa core and not going to just walk into Jamaica.
They already have another core going through on Cuba.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they end up with 2 cores in the region and Spain's dot. And Spain's stab on me turns into a net 0.
Yeah, I think the best move here would just be to like move into Caracas and Caribbean Sea if you were gonna trust England fully. Like, obviously this move it wouldn't. I guess they would get into Caribbean Sea, but like, say if this one went to Caribbean Sea, you'd at least bounce it out, and then if you only went to Caracas with one, you bounce it out, and then you'd still keep Cartagena no matter what. But yeah,
Wait, why is he supporting Cartagena?
there is no reason.
It's just pure spite. He doesn't trust England enough
But
to walk away from Jamaica. He wants to keep a unit next to it, but he also trusts England enough to not cover it.
Unfortunate.
you could, even if he's just worried about you though, like you could go Windward Passage and then backfill with Caribbean to like start putting more units on this front, right? So it just kind of makes sense to bounce you out if you were worried about that.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree. I don't think these were great moves on Spain's part. They did succeed in locking down Cartagena.
Yep.
But
sure.
that is about the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, should we go? Are we done here? Or?
Yeah, let's talk about winter.
Winter.
Yeah. Taking three off just hurts, obviously. This is probably the lowest I feel in the game. Like, I'm down to three. I do feel like in a game of diplomacy, three is like the minimum you can be while you're still a viable power. At two, like one support can completely end your like life. And here, at least you like have you can support a move on something and then do like a sneaky thing elsewhere. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely happy that I have Han Yang at the moment. And then I'm looking over at obviously I'm a little scared of you, Canadian.
Mhm.
Because of the stab, I'm like, is this a start of me getting munched and dotted? And then I think also like I was hearing press from Mughals about like I did try to press Mughals and be like, look, it's I have the extra unit. Could you just like not do ha hot? Could we just not? And they're like, I think I'm making progress on, and they basically told me, I think, or I can't remember if they told me directly or I got back channel, but I hear like Mughals don't want to make any deals because they hear Japan is about to go in on you. Or like they're confident they're going to be able to get Japan to go in. Um, so I'm definitely worried. But I keep my units up, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I was telling both Ayu and Mughals I was going to attack you like every
yeah,
turn. Or I
that
think I
makes
was
sense.
always telling them like, "Oh yeah, I'll get him next year. Like I'm going to be set up and then I'll attack him next year." So that
I
probably didn't
do,
help,
yeah,
but I because they were just always asking me throughout the whole game like, "Yo, please attack Ming, please attack Ming." So I was like,
I
"Yeah, yeah,
do, I
I'll
do
get."
kind of wonder. Like, obviously, it was good play on you. Like, they got super distracted and just wasted their whole games attacking me. Um, like I wonder if they wouldn't have death ward me, or Mughals wouldn't have death ward me if you weren't saying that all the time. And like they
Feel
were,
like that
yeah.
I wasn't like a like instrument. I maybe I was, but like I wasn't actively pushing them towards you. It's more just them asking me and me just like being like, yeah, I'll get them next year. Let me just
Mhm.
like do this one thing and then I'll stab them. Let me deal with Spain here and then so I was always just pushing it off. So it wasn't a huge like they
Yeah,
weren't ever counting on me to come in and attack you to give them support like on a certain turn, but they were expecting that long term that I was gonna
they're
like
expecting this to happen eventually. Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense.
Um yeah.
Your build's Canadian.
Yeah, I was gonna mention here too. I didn't mention it on the moves. Whoops. Formosa, I try like because I was expecting you to get into Chengdu. I tried to get Formosa into Hokkien so I could build another fleet on Formosa and then support or just walk into Fokien the next turn and start getting an attack on Ayu right away. But because I got
Yeah.
bounced out, it stopped my build here, and now I
Mhm.
have one less fleet to attack Ayu with and like one turn minus position or whatever you want to call it. So
Yeah,
that
for
was
sure.
kind of a negative for me here. Like I wanted to build a fleet here. Other than that, though, 4 builds, 1 army. To stick with the plan, I wanted to convoy over and reinforce this area. Eventually, get it to Shenjing. Because Mughals retreated here and he's now threatening Shenjing. I feel like this is kind of the same either way, but I didn't want him to ever like get an army walking down into Pyongyang and stuff, so I decided to convoy into Pyongyang, and I knew that would worry you a bit, but I was again like
Yeah,
you can't do much, and I wasn't even thinking of actually going for it. I was more just doing it to defend Korea.
I'll talk about Pyongyang and my thought process around that when it happens.
But yeah, so I was originally aiming for Haishenwai, but now I changed my mind at Pyongyang because Hohot's there. I honestly, in the back of my mind, like there is I always do like to keep options open. Like if I do need to take Hanyang, I like to have a unit there. But like 90% of my plan, I'd say I was still just planning to send it to Shenjing because I felt like this area was one I wanted to defend the most, and I needed an extra army there to keep it
Mhm.
strong. So and again, like if I walk into Hanyang, then it takes me another year to walk into Shenjing, and it's just I feel like that's just such a waste of tempo to like send a unit here to get a build here, and then both of them need another year to get anywhere, where I can like
Yeah.
immediately get it active and then you know start playing with it right away. The other two fleets, Ute has 2 units. Ito, I like to always just build a fleet in because like this is an Achilles heel for me. If he ever gets in here, if he ever convoys in here, which he does have this army. Oh no, wait, that's not there yet. He has the army in Hawaii. When did he put that there? I probably should have mentioned that too. But yeah, I should actually mention that. He gave me, you was I think gonna stab me the last fall. Maybe not. Maybe it's this one. There was one fall where he mentions that he had a joke convoy from like Mexico City into Edo, and I was like, "What the?" And before that, he told me that he gave me like some really suspicious move set. Yeah, it was the turn before this where he was telling me he was gonna do things, and he didn't have the amount of units to do the things that he said he was gonna do with. Like he said he was gonna like take Hawaii, like moved into 2 NPO spots, give Spain support, and do something else. And I remember I was questioning him a bunch, like this doesn't make sense. Like, why are you doing these moves? Like you can't. What is each unit doing? Because none of these make sense. And eventually, he told me he had a joke convoy in. But reading after the game, it was like a legit convoy. Like him and Atha were planning to stab me. But I think me being super suspicious, he ended up telling me right before the end that like all the moves he did were legit. Like he told me he was going to Halmahera, and then he told me he was using Berlanga to cover Hawaii. But what he did was he convoyed Mexico City into Hawaii. So now I have this army sitting here in Hawaii and 2 fleets sitting in NPO. And I'm like worried that he's gonna try and do some convoy into Japan, especially because he just told me he was had a fake convoy into Japan. So I always want to keep like Kuroshio and Ito here as a holding support, and we have that deal where he can't put more than 2 units into NPO. So as long as I have 2 fleets here, he can never he can never do a convoy, never do an attack. His only attacks options would be like Koryax or to go for like a positional attack in spring. So I feel like this really neutralizes like the amount of options he has against me. Yeah, he ended up changing his moves in the last hour or something though to not stab me, I think. And then ended up
Could you
doing that.
imagine trying to sell that to somebody, being like, "Hey, yeah, I put in this convoy into your home center as a joke,
Yeah, he should
and
have
forgot to change it
he should
before
have just not told me at all that he was even gonna do that.
Like, who's ever gonna go? Oh, okay, cool, that makes sense.
Yeah, I said I was
We're
like
all-
that would have
we're all
just created.
good.
I would have attacked you for the rest of the game if you did that. Like that would have been it. But yeah. So now him and I are working together a little more. I got him into Halmahera with promise, or no, Mapuche supported into Halmahera. I did offer him support into it, but we concluded that like he would be able to get in with just Mapuche support. So yeah, that was our plan there. Osaka, I think that was just like originally I wanted to build Osaka and Formosa, like I said, but now it's either between like Kyoto, Kyushu, or Osaka, and Osaka. Oh, this is actually better because I can send Ito out and then I support Osaka to Ito so he can't backfill me. So that's why that's there. Yeah, and then Bonin Islands is just a nice place to continue the attack too. Enemy fleets. Spain disbands 1. I think I was trying to get him to disband a little more. I think this was the time where I asked him like, yo, like Philippines is gonna be unholdable for you long term. Like I'm gonna go for this. I remember if I told him I'm supporting UTN or something, but I was like, I am going to attack Philippines for the rest of the game. Like, you're not going to be able to hold this colony. It'd probably make sense for you to, like, disband this and then keep your units in Europe or somewhere. I think I was mainly focused on Europe because I was like, you just got stabbed by Portugal, but this still isn't, like, a terrible position. Like, I could see you surviving in it till the end of the game if you really keep a huge chunk of units here. But he only ended up disbanding 1. Ayutthaya was mad at me for doing this Luzon move and not supporting him into Manila, so he builds 2 more eastern fleets here, which I actually tell him like he should do because after this point he was worried. He's like, "What's gonna prevent you from attacking me?" And I was like, straight up, like, you just have enough units to defend against me if you build fleets and stuff. Like, I'm kind of out of position here. I'm going to focus on Spain, and then I'm going to move down. So he builds those there. Ming, yeah, only unit I really wanted you to disband was Amor. I think we even make up before, like, winter phase, because I remember I wanted you to keep Jian over Hokkien because I wanted to go in there for the IU attack.
Wasn't I doing press with both of you at this time to try to help patch things
Yeah,
up?
you were
Yeah.
patching things up.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. I remember that too.
Everything
Like
I'm matchmaking this
I was
game.
instantly ready to. I didn't do this as a stab on Ming. This is just a cheeky dot. And in my mind,
Yeah.
I was like 100% gonna continue working with you unless like you were super pissed at me and were gonna
Yeah,
come
I
after
mean,
me.
I saw it and I was incredibly pissed, but I remember reading your void and you were like, "Oh, Ming doesn't seem very angry at me." And then later in your void, you're like, Ming's probably pretty burned by this, but I think knows that he doesn't have a leg to stand on in
Yeah.
terms of like
Another thing
in
too
like
is
yeah
remember earlier in the game when you tried to turn Starcat around after you stabbed her, and we were
yeah
talking about like what we would do in this situation, and I think you mentioned something like, "Oh yeah, if I got stabbed, that would totally make a deal" or something like that. So I remember
yeah
thinking like, "Oh, he probably won't mind too
yeah.
much
It
if I
is
taught him."
it is kind of a weird situation that I find myself in because like I do think that the right move in a lot of situations where someone does a cheeky dot, I think you kind of have to look at the board and say, okay, um, what happens now? I can't talk about another game, but I'm having the same kind of issue happen. Um, where I just kind of like I'm like, okay, well, they stabbed me, but we're gonna keep working together. Like it
Yeah,
makes sense board wise. And then I keep getting stabbed and it develops a reputation where you can kind of stab me. And like for meta reasons, I'm kind of wondering like what kind of balance do you need of just like being like I guess the Spain kind of deal of like fuck you, I'm gonna
Right. You
I'm
need to
gonna
flip out once in a while.
there's positives and
yeah
negatives to both.
yeah
There's so many things like that in diplomacy where there's like not a correct way to play. There's like a line you got to balance on, and like you
yeah
can't do either thing too much, or else it just gives you a weakness that can be exploited.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah
you're right that it is like it makes more sense if you are willing to do that. But again, it gives you like a long term kind of negative where it's say if you're Starcat and like you will not make any deals with anyone who's gonna stab you. That can help you out in a future game where it's like if I was playing with her again and she was in this spot, maybe I wouldn't stab her because I'd know like she'd come after me for the rest of the game if I do, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it does mean that like a lot of times, and I think like more often than not, it leads to a situation where the person just says, "Okay, I need to make sure to do moves where I can kill this person off," instead of doing something where you like try and work with the idea of having a peace in the future.
Yeah, it can blow
Um,
up in your face too, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my theater though. Tasnica?
Okay, so I looked at the map, and then I decided to open up my void from the game and try to figure out what I was thinking from this winter. I'm just going to read my void here because I think it's more entertaining than anything I'm going to come up with on the spot. So for winter builds of 1647, in yet another play that'll probably have people concluding that I've gone mad, I'm not building in Europe. Instead, I'm building in the colonies. This, I will reiterate, is insane. Sweden is incredibly dangerous and untrustworthy. I'm at war with Ottoman. Austria can get rather reckless. And Safavid has bold ambitions of his own. But my colonies are where I'm growing, where I'm getting builds. There are opportunities there, and just as importantly, there are vulnerabilities. I'm underbuilt in both colonies, and neither is safe. In the case of Africa, it is Portugal's explicit plan to come by and kill me when he gets the opportunity. England might get the idea of taking the army back as well. I desperately need another army here, both as a deterrent and as a means of viably turning the tables on Portugal. I might also just be able to get Ndakaru back here. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, Spain has stabbed me. Again. But I don't plan on letting him get away with it. If he refuses to play ball, I'm going to come at him hard. The Spanish Caribbean is over. It is done. And I will make that happen one way or another. And if he does back off, well, I've got opportunities with England and France who are still in a life or death struggle. Ideally, I can come out ahead of all three of them in the end, but that requires investment. 5 fleets for 5 centers, hopefully soon to be more. Or it could all crash and burn. We'll see.
Yeah, I think fleets in the Caribbean made sense in all honesty. I think I even told you that during the game, and I told you that like without even any strategic implications for myself. I remember just looking at your position and it's like the Caribbean was just so weak and fragmented between all these colonials. And you had such a strong position with a lot of dots. I did feel like you could win it if you kept pumping units into it.
Do you agree on also building in Africa instead of putting nothing in Europe?
Not sure. I'd have to look at it a little deeper, I think.
Well, we'll find out in the long run whether
Portugal, I
it
remember,
works out for them.
I think I said like he was probably never gonna stop attacking you, and like he'd probably win that in the end. So like I don't know. It depended if you wanted to slow him down or not. But
Yeah, I don't know. There's Portugal's doing too well on too many other theaters. And like he has the cores behind the lines. West
yeah, he'll
Africa,
just
you don't have the amount of cores necessary to like pump out armies, even if you did like start turning it around.
oh yeah. And then we also have this on the other side too, where I was like, Ageron and Portugal are eventually just gonna win Africa. So like, even if you hold out a long time, they will eventually creep their way up and be able to pinch you.
Yeah.
Like by the end of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, note that I'm still underbuilt. I now have 3 units for 4 centers instead of 2 units.
Yeah, and I think that's fair as well. Like at 2 units to 4 centers, like I feel
Yeah.
like you might just get blown out in like a year and go negative.
Yeah, I guess that's true too, because you're also getting, even with 3 here, you're still getting the 1 center surplus here. And if you lose like 2 in 1 year, then you actually have to disband 1 in Europe because like you can't pull
Yeah.
it.
I think the build makes sense here. I don't think you were ever gonna win this theater at this stage in the game, at least. But yeah, I mean, like again, I think it made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should I pull up spring moves?
Yeah, let's see how it all turns out.